Hello everybody. This is the prediction for the least controversial episode of Death Battle to ever come out since Ben vs. Hal. This is the prediction for the character based on Sunum Hung versus the character very vaguely based on Heracles through a long series of relations to other characters like Hugo Hercules and Hugo Danner. So this is Goku versus Superman. 3.
Ooh, boy!
Yay!
And is fitting
What
the
was
title.
everyone's...
I have 3 people here with me. None of them are Rena
Ooh, who
because
makes
she
introductions
wasn't
first?
invited. That's not the reason. That's not the reason
I did suggest her initially, but we didn't reach out. But she said college is kicking her butt.
She's too busy being a tsundere right now on Twitter.
That too.
So you all can introduce yourselves. Though anyone who's noticed or who's been paying attention to the predictions over the course of this year should recognize all 3 of you. But still, introduce yourselves.
Yes.
I'm Akil. You probably remember me. I've been on multiple prediction videos before. Starting out with Batman versus Iron Man, and then it kind of just went on, so yeah.
And then I'm Bang. I recently came back from Texas for 2 years straight. I was also on Batman vs. Iron Man, and I was also on Manhunter vs. Surfer. And additionally, I was on the Kyle vs. Seaman the Digger prediction video before I left 2 years ago. And now we're back for this one.
I'm Nemesis Bloodreich. I've been on a handful of these predictions, not too many though. I tend to not add a lot, but if without me this would not really work on the channel, so, you know, I'm the default necessary character to be here. You know, like the main party member you don't actually want to use.
And I am Shulk. I'm that ethereal voice that you've probably seen roaming around the earth spreading ignorance and chaos. I have also been on one prediction in the grand scheme of things, and that was Jean versus Raven. It's a weird starting point, but...
In the minor scheme of things, you've also only been
really
in one.
is.
It's not like which scheme you're looking at changes the number.
Yeah.
If anything, in the grand scheme of things, you would include this currently being recorded right now. So in the grand scheme of things, you could argue you've been on 2.
Yeah. But most of you have probably seen me around in some way.
Yeah, though you just said you're Shulk, and like there are multiple people I've seen go around with just Shulk and like a variant of that as a name. So
To be, the full title is The Black Shulk.
I was just thinking of the Across the Spider-Verse meme. It's like, which one? The black one.
Across the stroke first.
You have to get rid of all the counterparts.
I mean, unironically, Monado-verse sounds like a thing that could exist.
You know, I wouldn't put it past Takahashi. He's a fucking maniac.
I mean, if you write for any JRPG, you probably are at least 20% maniac.
It's Takahashi.
I'm so glad after Final Fantasy 15 turned your final boss from God into just some guy, that 16 immediately went back to, no, we gotta go back. God is the enemy again. Classic Final Fantasy. I don't know if 14 had a God as a villain, but given the amount of villains in 14, God is probably among them.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, hey, you
13's
know what?
final boss.
Gods are... God... No one cares about 13.
Well, yeah, no one cares about 13, but the big final enemy is God in those games.
Well, God is a very appropriate topic given our commandments today.
Right, because one of them is a Super Saiyajin God, and the other one, some idiots put a bunch of Christian symbolism on, despite the fact that he is very heavily allegorical for the Jewish. So all the cross symbolism may be slightly misplaced.
I actually checked like the last portions of GVS 1 and 2, and it's so weird and jarring because the GVS 1 they get it. They say like, oh yeah, it's not about powers, but like an immigrant story finding its place. Where whoa, you get it, and then you go to 2, and it's just like he is not meant to lose. He is not meant to be relatable.
Which is in the same video where they like explicitly bring up the fact that he got his shit folded by Doomsday for like a majority of their fight.
He does not.
Yeah.
He does not lose.
Just ignore
What
all
was
the times he
everyone's
lost.
reaction when this first got announced? Because like I had like vague premonitions, like I was in another, and like someone had guessed that it might be GBS3, and I didn't want to believe him, but like it was in the back of my mind.
I called it, but it was in a moderation chat for multiple servers that I cannot. Sure, I could ask for permission, but I'm choosing not to show like any screenshots from it because it is like a moderation chat. But there was like a bunch of people like joking what it could be, and I was like, it's actually going to be Goku vs Superman 3, and everyone's going to be completely calm about it. No, but also yes.
I was like in public.
Most people
So
were not told about it.
Yeah,
I was like just trying to hold back my laughter because it felt so deranged to actually see it be real. I had to make sure.
when I woke
I was
up,
also public.
because Rick vs Doctor came out at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, I'm not fucking staying up for that. Fuck off. So when I end up waking up in the morning, and I think it was Biff who sent me like, I take back all the bad things I said about Gogeta versus Vegeta. I was like, that's a weird thing to say. Was Rick versus the Doctor really that bad? That was my initial response to that, and then I watched the episode, and I was like, oh, I called it. Oh, I get it.
For me, I was visiting home in California, and I was playing pickleball with my mom and like all of her friends. And just to remember, I am religious. I am of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I was just like watching it on my phone. I had my AirPod in while we were playing, but the game was over, and it was getting to like the post-fight analysis, and then it gets to the next time, and my jaw dropped when I saw Goku's orange key, and I said like, "What the fuck?" in the most like quietest voice ever. But then I heard one of the ladies go like, "What did you just say?" Because you gotta remember, religious people, or at least our religion, does not like curse words. So I caused a little bit of confusion momentarily among many grandmas.
Did you explain? Oh, I said what's a fork because I don't know about utensils. Was that how you saved it?
No, I didn't save it. I just went back to playing pickleball. Like I was like, oh, nothing.
Oh.
My sister like
I'm pretty sure you're not the only religious person here, though.
Well, no, I wasn't saying I was the only one, but I'm saying that like I think
No, I'm just thinking about that.
most other religions don't really care too much about like swear words. Ours do.
Hmm. Oh boy.
it was a moment to fully process.
Now I
And
think about it, I could never go to see like the people that like see you in person, Bang, because I swear every second word. So if I went to see you where you live, that would be a problem, I think.
I think I would scare anyone if I was around you. I think I would. It's like that.
Okay.
It's like that. Some Dragon Ball fear aura.
I have the aura of an Australian. Like my aura basically is a swear word.
I feel like my parents would like ask you both in sincere, genuineness, like, why do you call my son Bang more than anything?
I would use your actual name, I think. Considering like the amount of time I spent reading your name as your name in emails over the last 2 years, I would probably be able to get around to using your actual name.
Definitely, yeah. But like because like they're very aware of like this is like my side hustle, if you could call it that. So they know enough about it to like have some questions for y'all.
It's like, why do you call him Bang? We would be like, that's a question you should ask him.
I've
never actually asked you where you got your name from. I guess I've never asked anyone here why, but I guess it's never been like a thing I thought about.
From mine, do you guys remember that old Cartoon Network show called Mad?
Yeah.
So there
We don't
was
have
like a
Cartoon Network
Minecraft
here.
episode that's. Oh, that's a shame. But there was this episode where it was a Minecraft parody of like Criminal Minds, and they made one of the characters' usernames like NoJang96. So I made my Minecraft username initially, and then I changed it to BroJang96 because I was like a 9-year-old. I thought it sounded cool, and then I kept it all the way up to like coming into the debating community, and uh, back in the day, before there was Discord, there was like really scuffed DB fan and wiki chats, and like people would refer to me as like bro, and that just didn't ring right with me. So I just decided to change it to Bang, and it seems so revolutionary to everyone. It just rolled off better for me.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
You know, I think with how Goku was in this ballot earlier, I just gotta imagine if that actually did win, all Ultra would just have the ease. That would be the easiest copy and paste they ever had to do,
Yeah, because
even more than usual.
aside from like a handful of things, most of the stuff Composite Goku has will be in this episode because they're using heroes.
Right.
Like he
Yeah.
will get God Fusion, and I think some of the like really pointless magical abilities he has in like Puzzle and Dragon, and like that's
He
mostly it. And like the live action stuff, which amounts to nothing,
he'd get the key sword, which is
which he might get
kind
in
of
this
fucks
anyway.
Ryu over. I don't imagine he
Versus
might in this
My
one.
beloved.
I mean, they could always
I
have a
think-
sword. They could have a sword fight between the Sword of Superman and the Key Sword if they really wanted to.
That
If
would be
Phoenix versus
stupid.
Raven had a sword fight, I would not be surprised if they snuck it in
I mean,
this
you
one.
could call it a sword fight. You could also call it Raven does one thing with her sword, which is technically more than she's ever done in canon.
Actually, we do still have an idea of how Goku's probably going to be handled. It is a soft composite. It is not specifically Xeno. It's not specifically CC. Not specific. It is manga and super, and then other stuff placed on top of it. So kind of what they did with Gogeta, Frito, and Vegito. Like
Mhm.
it will, like the hero stuff will probably be limited down to feats and maybe some forms, but like the crux of the actual like stuff will just be baseline stuff.
Yeah, and I guess there's two ways to go about this prediction, because we could like go over their actual feats, and we could also just go over where Death Battle has placed characters of their tier, or even like just them outright in cases, because like there have been a lot of uses of the Superman flying faster than Infinity feat that have been brought up, and if they didn't use
Yeah.
that here, I would have to slap someone.
Imagine this was the one episode that didn't use El Shockwave Chan. The one episode that avoids it. It's actually because I know like there have been talks that they're going to probably upgrade the Dragon Ball Universe's size again for like, and this will probably be the one. It's just kind of funny. With the higher it gets, the more it makes Beerus Galaxia look very unfortunate. Because like if you did that now, Beerus would be probably like at a bare minimum like bajillion times stronger these days versus Galaxia with like, if you highball her, and I mean highball, you might be able to get her to 10,000 times Universal. And I don't even know if I buy that, and I don't even know if I have the sources for that either.
Yeah, we're not gonna put up any scans for that. We're just gonna let all the multi-plus Sailor Moon believers mold. They can get ready to argue for their lives when Sailor Moon versus Saint Seiya happens. And I just pissed off a bunch of people by calling Pegasus Seiya Saint Seiya. Fuck.
I always forget he's called Pegasus as well.
You know, if they did a Seiya episode, they probably would just say Saints.
I could see them just calling the episode Sailor Moon versus Saint Seiya, or Shazam versus Saint Seiya. It's gonna be one of those two, if they use him.
It'll probably be the latter, because I imagine Madoka's gonna come through.
Yeah,
And just-
there's like there are a lot of Sailor Moon matchups out there, so I could, yeah, with the fact that Shazam's
Remember-
popularity will always be around.
I think the funniest thing is, since we're on the topic, like, remember how like Goku versus Sailor Moon almost did happen, and then like, after Goku got absurdly more powerful, it's like, well, we don't want Goku just beating the ever-loving tar out of this fucking teenager.
I remember when it was TJ Omega did like an interview with Ben and Chad, and the one match, like one of the matchups they specifically brought up as they wouldn't do because it's so unfair, is Goku versus Ryu. And now it's just It's just here. It's just on the ballot. They've clearly got some interest in
Age
it.
like low fat milk. That's age like low fat milk. That's so funny. If that is
It's
true.
aged like the actual community.
Ouch.
I know that was a bit harsh. That one was a bit harsh.
Akil and I are in
Some-
college now. Nemesis.
Some things are true though.
Some things the community has technically gotten dumber because like when it all started, when battleboarding started, it was like actual physicists arguing
Mine were
like
so much more
Star Wars
simple.
versus Star Trek, and like let's just say that actual physicists are probably a little bit smarter than anyone here in that regard. I mean,
Very much.
I could probably talk circles around them in Arthurian legend, but I mean, it's a very specific niche to look at.
I could talk circles around them about Shaggy Man from DC.
That's true.
I could probably talk. I feel like I'd be less talking circles and just like just going full ignorance. You have to counter smart by just being chaotic. That's just.
Amen.
I think one thing like if since you mentioned earlier, like the best way we could probably just like go over what we think their stats are, and then probably later what Death Battle might do later, because
Yeah.
this is like as they've made very clear, this is not like a sequel. It's not. It is a reimagining. It's like closer to the other rematches they've done, like Mario versus Sonic and Long versus Clued.
Yeah, that's what Akio and I were going into this with the premonition of. That we talk about like a lot of just because like Clark is such a big character that you don't even need to talk about too much scaling, and we discussed before this like we kind of go over it, treat it like its own thing, like go over his powers again, go over just all of his feats and how they relate to this debate.
Yeah.
Not all of them. But
Actually, yeah,
some of
it's a
them.
good point. You can literally talk about Superman without going over any scaling whatsoever because he just has.
Yeah, you really don't need it.
Oh, Rena wants me to tell you that she said hello.
Hello, Reno.
Oh, I said her cooking is trash.
I kind of want to wait for her to see it in this video. Just leave her in suspense as to whether or not actually.
You know what's true.
Akil, do you have anything to say?
Okay.
I said hi, Rena.
Oh, right, you did.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Though that sounded so backhanded. So, yeah. As I was saying, with Superman, he already has like all the feats he needs. Scaling is like a bonus thing you can do for him.
Pretty much.
I don't consider like cosmology stuff scaling in like that sense. It is like scaling in the sense of you are getting an idea of the scale of his power, but it's not like literally scaling to another character.
Right.
All of his scaling literally comes from himself. So like,
Yeah,
most
actually,
of
is there
DC's
like
scaling.
an Eternity style character in DC that like embodies the multiverse? I feel like there is, but the name's just escaping me.
Kismet.
Right, that was the I brought that as a mashup to you like a long time ago, didn't I? Eternity versus Kismet.
Yeah.
Death Battle, get on
That's
that.
also,
The
like,
most
super
the absolute
one-sided, though.
like D-lister of Kismet in Death Battle would be brilliant against the relative
Yeah.
C-lister of Eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Kismet? Wait, she's a Lord of Order and Chaos, right? Or is that someone else?
I think that's someone else.
Rats. Okay, well probably that then.
I don't think any rats are in high level. I should not say that. They could be like a rat deity in Marvel or DC that's like omniversal that I don't know about. So I'm not gonna like pretend like I can say for certain there's no super rat. Who fucking knows?
Sure.
It's gotta have a dumb name to go with it.
Oh fuck! I think there's like a rat god in Warhammer now that I think about it. That's really funny to think about.
Like Ratcatcher, Ratcatcher's daughter, Ratcatcher 2. That's about it.
Ratcatcher 2 when cosmic scaling happens. They like a rat like a whole horde of rats is summoned to deal serious damage to comic book Starro. We get the cosmic rats. That'd be brilliant.
That would be.
So who do we want to start with? Because I feel like there's definitely more to say with Superman in terms of, like, just because of the sheer amount of history. Because with Infinite Frontier, isn't it like Golden Age all the way to New 52, like all one guy now? Or is Golden Age like separate?
Isn't Golden? Yeah, because he was kind of when Flash pretty much discovered the DC multiverse with the Jay Garrick one. It kind of consigned Golden Age as like Earth 2 Superman. So it's like Goku, where it's like a soft composite, because Infinite Frontier pretty much canonized the entire history of
There's
Clark.
it's like an in-universe
But there was
soft
differences
composite.
even before that.
Because like I know
a
at least New
connection
52
comic.
and Post Crisis are like one thing now. They're Prime Earth.
Yeah. Best way I'd think of it is like pre and post Flashpoint have pretty much merged in history at this point.
How funny
Like,
would it
everything
be?
is just on the table.
What if the episode had them finally admit, actually, pre-Crisis Superman ain't all that. Post-Crisis Superman's probably stronger, and they just like drop that in the episode and really rile some people up.
It's
think
because
it
they
goes like-
hyped up pre. Go ahead.
I think it goes like, because currently apparently Rebirth is Superman in his prime. It goes like Rebirth, then like either post Crisis or pre, and then like New 52 in terms of the Clark power hierarchy for versions.
Oh yeah. New 52 is probably one of the weaker Supermen. I mean, unless you like take him at like the beginning of his history, and then
Well,
I
yeah,
think
mean,
Rebirth is
nowadays I
strongest,
think
and
I think
then-
separating New 52 and Post-Crisis is kind of pointless nowadays. Like with Rebirth.
Yeah.
Well,
as a thing.
Infinite Frontier kind of just gave us the notion that everything for Clark is canonized. But even before that, there was like references to people starting to remember what had happened. Like Barry was starting to get flashbacks of the crisis on Infinite Earths during the 2018 Justice League run as well.
Yeah. I can't wait to see people argue that,
So it's
that
like
like they
kind of
made a
a-
mistake by compositing Superman. It was like I've seen people say they composited Martian Manhunter, in the sense of like they composited him with pre-Crisis, and it's like he scales to pre-Crisis feats from various reasons. He doesn't need to literally be the same guy as
Right.
pre-Crisis Manhunter to scale to them.
Yeah.
I just like pre-crisis Manhunter being this eldritch super powered being like fucking pre-crisis super.
I was gonna joke about him being Cthulhu, but Cthulhu's a weak bitch, so any Manhunter slaps Cthulhu in the comics. Free.
For real.
I know it's gonna piss some people. I've already said a bunch of things scaling wise that'll probably piss some people off. But Cthulhu is a weak ass bitch. The star level feat is bullshit. Just because stars are mentioned in the same sentence as Cthulhu doesn't fucking mean anything.
Didn't he get hit by a yacht?
Yeah, he got ratioed by a fucking boat.
So you telling me that like Shumagorath versus Cthulhu is like null and void?
It was already unfair when people put Cthulhu at Outerversal. It was already still a stomp for Shumagorath. Then he got downgraded to like Uni, then Star, and now like Large Country. It was never fair. Now it's like lol Lamau even.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, because Shumagorath is slightly powerful, a little strong. He's got a little bit of power to him. Probably
So
Yeah.
at least island level.
can't they just fart out Dormammu's basically? Like,
Dormammu was really like scared of Shuma, so it's probably true.
This is where I expected a kill to jump in with like, so here's this time Shumagorath did something that's like 45 layers into Outerversal.
I was talking to Bang about this, but like I peaked like 2 years ago. I don't have feats I don't have feats at the top of my head anymore. They're gone. They've been repressed.
From past our prime.
I am glad. I am glad that you have finally freed yourself from this curse, and now you can live a normal life.
the arms race that
That
is prevalent in DC has been maddening, to say the least.
Wait, you peaked?
Yeah.
Did you say you peaked 2 years ago when Bang left? Man,
I mean,
I guess. I think I did. And then like after Bang left, it like slowly went down. I think like after Bang left,
you're literally like
up
Vegeta when Goku
until
died.
I think I was like good. Actually, maybe it's only been like a year, but like I've started slowly losing memory. Actually, it's been like a year or like a little over a year. My brain started to like slip out of the versus community last August. Yeah, that sounds about right.
You nearly freed yourself. Quickly get out
All
of
I
this
know
video.
is
You're
I
nearly
peaked.
free.
All I know
I
is I peaked
murdered
when my
Vegeta
final
and then
debate.
I think I just slowly slipped out of it.
I mean, I know what you mean, but you
All I
just
know
worded
is,
like you murdered Vegeta. It's like, okay.
all I know is I
Veg-
peaked when my final debate before leaving was Magneto versus Dr. Polaris.
The best matchup ever.
I have no peak. Unlike Superman, I rise to infinity. Half of infinity is just in fuck infinity.
I'm like
I don't
trying to
get
get back up
engaged.
there, but
I
it
don't
probably
engage
won't
I
be the
get
same.
engaged enough with hardcore debating to have a peak. I would rather not have a peak.
You have peaked. You have now peaked. You've managed to fully kill off Super.
I mean, either way, like if enough people like go to you for comic stuff, you're still kind of peaking. Like, I would say people still come to me for it. So like, I think that's good enough for me. I don't need anything else.
Let's see. Where do we start? Do we want to tackle Goku or Superman first? I guess. I know
Oh,
Goku
It's
might
called
just be.
Goku versus Superman, so
I
we
know.
could do Goku first.
Goku's like simpler because
Okay.
it's like, you know, he's got the shock waves, he's got the multi-plus scaling that you get in Heroes that they brought up for Trunks.
Right.
And you got the really fucking fast feat they gave to Trunks, as well as potential infinite measurable scaling. So I've just taken your job, but you can go on anyway.
Yeah. In true Dragon Ball fashion, things just get escalated to like fucking nonsense. Like in the very original series, like Goku Super Kamehameha Shatter the Moon. That was very impressive for its time. And then like, we head into the Saiyan saga where he counters like Vegeta's Gallic Gun, which is stated to be planet level. And Saiyans at this point were established to be planetary threats. And like that filler arc, Vegeta just literally points at a fucking planet and it just fucking dies. Which is weirdly raw. It's like,
And also weirdly,
but I guess it's not as raw.
Somewhat inconsistent with the fact that he needs to charge the Gallic Gun up. If he had like basically a Dodonpa that could do that, why does he need the Gallic Gun? Fucking dumbass.
I love Dragon Ball filler because you
I
get
guess-
stuff like
You could argue the planet Alia is just like a really small planet though. So I guess you could, because we don't know
Yeah.
how big it is. I don't think.
I don't think it's too big, relatively speaking. It's still raw, and Goku. If you're going with anime stuff, he's done crazier stuff. Like in the movie, the cooler movie, he just blows up the sun. That's just a thing that happened,
Yeah.
And then like later on in like the Family Kamehameha in Broly's Second Coming, that movie's ass by the way. But in Broly's Second Coming, he like fires, the Kamehameha also to the sun again. And that time, Broly did actually die.
Yes, Bio Broly is not the same as regular Broly. That's a clone.
Yeah.
Speaking of movies,
And like,
it
there's
was
just
only
other.
a couple days ago. This is just to go off topic for a second. I learnt how fucking hilarious every single scene with Cell Max is. He is the funniest fucking thing in the world. He literally just does a shoop de whoop face, and that's like the first gif that shows up for him on Tenor.
And like, in terms of just more feats for Goku, in the movie in Fusion Reborn, he shakes the whole afterlife when he's going into Super Saiyan 3, and then the afterlife's pretty fucking big, and we'll get to that. And then, but you're not here for that baby shit. We're not here for like, oh, they can destroy a planet. You're here for the myth, the legend, the one that has been polluting every Dragon Ball episode.
Jiren
Except
shaking the
Gogeta
infinite
Burrito.
void. Obviously,
No,
we're talking
Jiren's too boring.
about Jiren shaking the infinite void, scaling to infinite Zamasu, who was a universe and was just going to keep on like eating more and get a whole whopping like 13 times universal probably.
Those
Something
are
like that.
also pretty good, but we all know what we're here for. It's for L Shockwave Chan. So we said at the beginning of the series. There it is. So introduced in Beerus versus Galaxia, when when Goku and Beerus clashed, it was so fucking hardcore and so fucking just crazy that it fucking nearly threatened to destroy all of Universe 7. And Universe 7 is, in fact, bigger than our own universe. You've seen the model, you've seen the whole giant cosmological structure. As of now, I believe current estimates in size would put it around 3 to 15 times the size of our own universe. And that's just very much the beginning of Super. Goku's still only now just learning how to use his God Ki. And eventually he gets more and more upgrades. He gets Super Saiyan Blue. He gets Stacked Kaioken on top of that. But somehow, this is not the peak of Dragon Ball power. I know, crazy. Even in Super, they have stuff like Kefla mentioned she can blow up a universe in one shot. But, can't hit Goku. And, Broly destroys, like, that fucking dimension in the Broly movie, which is really cool. That movie's really great. And it looks really cool as well. And then you get... But, since Heroes is in the past, we have to talk about that stuff. And, I'm sure most people don't like Heroes. Believe me, I don't either, but Heroes is a necessary component in this reality. And the big feat that often gets brought up is this asshole. His name is Meki Kabra, and he created a black hole that sucked up all of reality and all the timelines within Dragon Ball Heroes, which are generally been stated to be infinite timelines and whatever. So, like, multi-plus. And you get shit like Fu, the fanfiction character who, like, rewinds all of existence to nothing with his time power.
The fucking time
And then
predator.
Dark King... yeah. And then Dark King Fu absorbed the power of Dogi Dogi and Toki Toki, whose power could restore all of time. So, needless to say, there is just a lot of crazy multi-plus stuff. And there's even this one dude named Shamel, or some shit from Dragon Ball Heroes, who also threatened to destroy the entirety of the infinite timelines. So, even despite El Shockwave Chan's going to be brought up, that will not be the peak of Goku's power. And Goku's taken on many of these characters, with his biggest forms like Ultra Instinct.
Yeah. Did he just vanish?
Me?
Oh, did I fucking... Am I still around? What the hell?
You just got Hakai for a second.
Okay, well, you know what? In true Dragon Ball fashion, I just ignored it. So...
Frieza got really upset and
abridged-
threw a Hakai at you. Someone tried to Hakai freeze when he threw it at you in just, like, retaliation. Stop gassing up
And
Goku!
We will change the future, but... In any case...
Frieza's gonna
that
go
is
back
the
in time to
abridged-
get Saiyans off the menu. No more Super Saiyan. Take Super Saiyan off the menu from the bargain bin.
Imagine if that happens, he just retroactively erases, like, the power of, like, Black Frieza and Golden and stuff. You just see him, like, it just gets...
Everyone's just kinda gonna die
Eradicate.
when everyone's gonna die when Boo shows up, huh?
But that is the abridged version of how strong is Goku. Very abridged. Because I
Well-
can't cover literally everything that's happened in Dragon Ball, because those
Yeah.
are baby shit.
Multi-plus, and you can argue, I think there's like arguments like 5D and stuff.
Yeah, but I hate dimensional tearing.
Yeah, and also it's not a good thing
And
to
I
try
guess-
to use against Superman when he's got Torquasm,
Right.
Rao, and stuff.
And I guess, like, speed-wise, you'd be like, the shockwaves traveled across all of the universe. So, like, that'd be quadrillions to, like, sextillions times the speed of light. And then you get, like, the potentially infinite arguments. Now, what Death Battle should probably use is the black hole sucking up all of reality. But they're going to use something more hilarious, which is, like, the cooler feat. And I know everyone loves this part of that movie. So, like, Return to Cooler. Somehow... Cooler's able to not only match Goku in instant transmission, but tag him, and they are fighting within instant transmission. Like, it's this...
Wasn't that like a
Why?
thing in the like in the Super manga as well? Something about outspeeding instant transmission, or is that like bullshit?
Yeah, I think it was like Granola Bar. He, like, was stated to outspeed instant transmission. Though it's a little bit less blatant in comparison to what Cooler did, because Cooler's just way cooler than Granola. Haha. What?
I guess we
It's
also talk
fucking
about like
stupid.
Goku's powers because none of them really matter from like canonical powers from the original manga or either version of Super, aside from Hakai, which is like yeah that's cool. There's so many different times that Superman's just walked through the Omega beams though, so lol. get
It's
fucked.
like the main powers, of course, is just ki shit. You know, ki is like the life energy, and he can use it to shoot big lasers. He shoots kamehamehas. He has multiple kamehamehas. He can shoot like a super one, a true one, a reverse one. He can create a god kamehameha. But that's not the only thing he can do with ki. He has stuff like the solar flare, which won't really mean much here, but after copying Tien Shinhan, he can basically just blind people. He also has like a really cool move called the Spirit Bomb, which allows him to accumulate energy from the surrounding area, and it allows him to generally draw a giant fuck off super ball. Usually more effective on evil foes, but he tried it on Jiren, who at that point wasn't evil. It didn't matter though, because Jiren just blinked it, but that's beside the point.
Yeah,
He also has like the Destructo disc, which
Yeah.
is like copied from Krillin. And that move is like really broken in context of Dragon Ball. Most people can't just punch it away,
at
but
least until
that's
Cell
also changed in time.
until Cell existed.
I think that might have been filler at the very least. That was like at least filler. I think the first legit time it got punched away was something in Super, I believe.
Yeah. I don't remember if the Cell thing was in the manga, but I know that my good pal Donovan is going to be complaining to me in my DMs if it was not in the manga. Be like, you fucking moron! How did you not know this? Did you not watch the Lobo film where they made it very clear that this is not in the Dragon Ball manga? And then he's going to tell me, also, I don't sound like that.
Cell is gonna be the only man without El Shockwave Chan.
That's yeah,
That
because
is like-
I was gonna bring up Cell Max, but I was like, no wait, he's not even like Cell at all.
I like that they bring up Cell Mass and bring up the entire number and just end it with Cell cannot scale to this.
I love the
That's how
idea.
it ends.
I love the idea of like if they do Pilaf Gang versus Team Rocket, and they're like the Pilaf Gang was an enemy to Son Goku, who was so powerful he could create these shockwaves and nearly destroy the universe, something that the Pilaf Gang do not scale to even slightly.
I know they do that and they bring up in a tab against Team Rocket, like Team Rocket can scale to Arceus or some shit. But
That'd be really
I will
funny.
probably save transformations for a bit later. But oh yeah, there's one other move, the Dragon Fist, which needs to be fucking canon already. I am sick of this move not being fucking canon. It's one of the coolest things Goku's ever fucking done, and it's one of his few techniques he has not ripped off. It's
Yeah,
one of the
what-
few techniques that's just
Like the Dragon Throw is like the closest thing to like a signature move of Goku's that's his own, isn't it? I don't think anyone taught him that one.
it's like the off the top. I think the moves he has not copied is the Dragon Throw, the Dragon Fist, which is non-canon, but fuck, it's awesome. And you know that technique he does against Broly, where he like restrains him.
Oh right,
That is,
yeah,
to my knowledge,
Godbind thing.
That is, yeah, the Godbind. That is a Goku original. So yeah, one move is just a throw, the other one.
The Godbind,
eventually got
invented in bed with Chi-Chi.
Yeah, I think Chi-Chi would have probably learned the technique first, but
Yeah, she taught it to him. We can also talk about skill.
this is how we make Goten.
And the reason I'm thinking about
I mean-
skill is because I remember, I'm sure you guys know Imaginary Axis, right?
Yeah.
I love him. He's such a great fella.
He
He's great.
posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, which I love calling it that now. Like the list of characters that Superman has like learnt from, and it's like a reminder of like, yeah, Superman is meant to be like genuinely really fucking skilled. He's not just a mindless brute.
Yeah.
I've got
Skill-wise, it's
I've
like
got that list
Goku.
open, and I'm gonna go to it later when we're done with Goku.
Skill-wise, Goku is like he's the martial arts man for a reason. He's picked up on like techniques absurdly quick and has been trained by all sorts of people between Roshi, Tommy, King Kai, Korin, and now he's at a point where he's learning from Whis, who is like a super god. Well, he's an angel or whatever. And like Whis has taught people like Beerus, who was like one of the most powerful characters in the universe. And like Goku had like even like Grandpa Gohan was like a master of all martial arts disciplines on Earth, and Goku's just as skilled as him. Keep in mind, I was in fact way younger, so Goku's become way better, and he has all these like generally just basics like he can do fucking full Nelsons. He knows how to like do 1 inch punches. He knows how to like
I
he has
can do
rock paper scissors.
Look, I can
Really.
do both of those first two things. That doesn't make Goku special.
And like he's very smart, and I think the big one is his adaptability because Saiyans have this really amazing thing to just bullshit themselves to absurd power levels just by looking and watching things once. And the big ones like the Kamehameha was being learned just by seeing it once, and he just copied it. And given how much Goku rips off other techniques, you can tell that's a skill he's been learning. He even learned how to pick up on Beerus's Hachime just by seeing it once, even though Goku reasonably should not be tapping into that energy, but he did it anyways. And like you see it probably most notably in the Tournament of Power, which is like I guess maybe the lead into Zenkai's, because Zenkai's whole thing is if Goku gets his ass beat enough, generally speak, Saiyans, if they just get near death or just generally get their ass beat, they can essentially come back even stronger than before. And that's a big deal because that is what allows sort of the justification for Goku making these massive leaps in power without having to necessarily train for those leaps of power. But this really gets ridiculous in a Tournament of Power in particular, where over this thing lasts supposedly in an hour, but Goku consistently multiple times gets like put in the back foot, probably most notably with Jiren the Gray, like bald Sasuke over there, who like beat his ass very thoroughly. Then he popped Ultra Instinct and still had to like recover a lot of his strength. Then he had enough strength to come back and fight Jiren again later with more experience, and he did much better than his initial route. And he at this point was able to master a Kaioken Super Saiyan Blue, so he got back a lot of his energy in that time frame. And then it happens again, and he's constantly learning. Hell, like the Universe 6 Saiyans in particular are probably really notable because they were basically picking up on these master techniques and skills and were popping Super Saiyans and increasing their power level extremely quickly. And they weren't that like experienced in the grand scheme of things compared to Goku, and yet Goku still not only beat them, but he would later take on even stronger characters. And of course, you get other like foes later on down the series, like Granola, who literally has the power to get stronger, but he still struggles to keep up with Goku in some aspects. So that Saiyan adaptation is really fucking good. In most matches, this would be relevant, but you'll see how that doesn't matter here. But that's beside the point.
Like even like back in the original manga with Cell, who's only part Saiyan, like all it took was like he exploded, came back, and suddenly he was essentially a Super Saiyan add-on to his already high power. It's like all it took was like he casually kills himself, comes back, and he's just fine and stronger now.
Like Vegeta was abusing the shit out of those in the Namek saga, where he just, hey Krillin, I need you to just nearly kill me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it worked.
Vegeta was carried by those.
I think I remember seeing a Twitter post like if the Frieza arc or if Dragon Ball was airing today, the amount of like fraud memes for Vegeta he would never live those down. he would the anime community would not let him get away with. Like I want to like there's this one like model thing whatever that is like I'm gonna post it in the chat, which is so funny because I have no idea how Vegeta ever got this reputation because it's Vegeta. Like that, it's literally him on a throne of L's right there in that image. But like,
I mean, again,
it's like,
I mean, his big super ultimate final form is literally just beat the crap out of me, please.
I like how at that point everyone was so fed up with the super manga that no one even had faith that it would do anything. They were right, but it's so sad.
I just want to point out, if Vegeta was a masochist, he'd be the happiest character in all of Dragon Ball. You can't.
I remember
that
TFS was like, if that TFS joke is like if Krillin was a Saiyan, he'd be unstoppable. At this point, he'll be. Should I go over forms now, or do I just say them a little bit later?
You can say them later. I don't. It's not like I could probably name all the canon ones, but like it's not that
Yeah.
important. Grade A. Kaioken's
Yeah.
not a form, but you can
Yeah.
mention it. Super Saiyan Grade 1, Grade 2, Grade 3, Full Grade Super Saiyan 2, 3, Super Saiyan God,
Right. But
Saiyan Beyond God, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20, which is also technically not a form. Neither is Mastered Ultra Instinct and
right.
Ultra Instinct Sign. Giant
Like
Susanoo Avatar.
that needs to be defined somehow. But
Well, I mean,
I'll tackle
doesn't
those a bit later.
Superman's got like that sort of thing going on too, so.
Exactly. So that covers, like, I guess, some of the general stuff for Goku. The forms will we can come later. But you know what? I think it's time to go over to the Superman.
Hmm. All right. So I guess I can start. We'll go a bit backwards because I initially was going to talk about abilities, while Akil was going to talk about stats and largely that. So Superman's powers are pretty well known by this point. If you don't know them somehow, first up, heat vision is the big one. Superman can concentrate his vision into making energized blasts of heat. They can be concussive. He can increase its area of effect, and he can use it for numerous different ways, like counteracting ice, even as far down as absolute zero when he clashed with Captain Cold's gun. And the heat vision itself is pretty powerful in potency. Only about 1/4 of it was capable of creating a universe, and I believe in a separate scan, 1/5 of the heat vision power he has could generate energy required to cause another Big Bang. So his heat vision is very potent, and an extension of that heat vision, although it's kind of an outdated ability just based on usefulness, is the Super Flare. In New 52, it was used as his last resort attack. Through his heat vision, he could expel it in a form of like all the solar energy is now stored in him into one gigantic burst of an explosion. And the drawback is once he uses it, it takes about 24 hours to gain his Kryptonian powers back. He's pretty much rendered vulnerable and almost human. But he's been able to, in recent runs, like in a few of the times he used it in the Bendis runs, he's learned to keep the flare smaller, and that way he can decrease the time limit for getting his powers back. But even still, it's not really an ability best used in this case. And then a large part of his ability is his solar radiation absorption. Since he's a Kryptonian, his cells function like a battery, and specific wavelengths of radiation coming from suns, red stars, blue stars, and everything can give him varying effects and superhuman abilities almost. And in the case of yellow stars, the most common one, it gives him an increased amount of strength, and it can do so in exponential spades. And Aki will talk about it later, likely, but one instance that comes to mind is when he became Sun Dip to go and attack the World Forger when he was about to uh, destabilize the multiverse, for instance. But basically, whenever he's exposed to more sunlight, the more degree of his power is shown. And it depends on it. Red Star can weaken him, but he's in recent times shown resistance to the effects of a red sun. And funnily enough, Blue Sun can actually give him the chance to portion Kryptonian power to other people, although that wouldn't really be useful here. Other abilities that he has are more visions that he can use, such as his X-ray vision. He can see through anything except lead, which I find to be a bit silly because he can see through souls, the astral, like any life form, and it can even become 4D vision and see in a fourth dimensional perspective. You can see down to the subatomic level, which gets into his telescopic vision because it can go as far as entire star systems, across galaxies even, and all the way down to molecule chains, compounds, subatomic, etc. Um, and he can also see on the electromagnetic spectrum. He can identify radio and television signals, frequency links. He can find ultraviolet fluctuations, and this allows him to sense different energy patterns, both in opponents and just in the universe around him, the fundamental forces of reality. And he also has superhuman hearing as another sense. His hearing is so good it can be adjusted by pitch and volume. He can hear heartbeats, blood in your veins. He can hear footsteps. He can hear an alarm in a single millisecond from 2 countries away. He can also change the wavelengths of his hearing to let him know that a person can be mind controlled, and his super hearing is so precise he can hear molecules bonding. And another feat is he can hear a person's heartbeat in a crowd of 11 million people. So he has a lot of precision in how he can adjust his hearing. And on the contrary, you can also use it to block out pretty ambient sounds, focus on finding a specific frequency or sound. And this one isn't really applicable, but it's also pretty funny. His superhuman smell is also pretty good. I think my favorite one is he can smell brownies that were made in North Dakota from the Watchtower. That's pretty cool. He also has superhuman breath in 2 different ways. One is he can exhale wind, and he can do it with great force. One feat that many have seen is when he sneezed away a solar system when he was a younger lad, and he can also use it to make hurricanes. He can use it so well that it can become a hypersonic frequency that can puncture your ears, and it was also able to blow away Zatanna's astral form. And this isn't the first time he's done it. He also did it with his freeze breath. So he can also use his breath and freeze it in a weird sort of Joule-Thomson effect, which is a scientific concept about how gas can undergo pressure reduction because of temperature increase or decrease, which in Clark's case, he's pretty much changing the temperature of his breath to freeze you solid. So you can use it to counter heat and fire, use it to break down the core of an Empirix probe's armor, which contains energy sustained to trigger portions of the Big Bang. He's used it on foes as powerful as Bizarro, Jon Stewart, Darkseid, Diana, and like I said before, they also use it to freeze and shatter the astral form of Zatanna, which is pretty interesting.
That's
And
how
then
that's
he also has a
logical.
little bit more yeah, logic. He also has more esoteric abilities, like he can render himself invisible by vibrating at a rate of oscillion, which I forgot to look up what that actually means, if I'm being honest. More proof that the versus debaters can't read. But basically, this makes him invisible to the naked eye. He can also go intangible, and he used this during his fight against Doomsday, which is impressive when you consider that Doomsday himself has bypassed the intangibility of Martian Manhunter before, who's one of the most experienced density shifters in DC. He's also shown he can perform, like Goku, he can perform powers done by other people, like the Infinite Mass Punch, which is pretty much vibrating and traveling over light speed. And in DC, when you do that, you reach infinite mass to hit people with the force of a white dwarf star. But as shown with the Jenny Ognat feat, it can also cause a pretty bad singularity on a universal scale if not done correctly. And he also has his own variants of martial arts. He has 2 distinct ones, Kryptonian martial arts called Torquasm Vo and Torquasm Rao. So Torquasm Vo is the first one, and it's a lot more on the psychic side. It's also been called Theta State. Many people have probably heard that term coined, and it was a warrior rite for the Kryptonians to help the Kryptonians with psychic discipline that controlled their conscious or the conscious of other people, allowing them to battle one another on a psychic plane to achieve mental discipline. So reaching a theta state will pretty much allow you to enter a psychic battlefield where you can warp reality, you can attack the soul, and various other attacks, or even manipulate someone's mind. He's used this ability against a couple people, one such as Eradicator, one of the Supermen during Reign of Superman, to create an illusion to get in Eradicator's mind. But the more powerful example is when he used it against Dominus, who is a Lord of Order, the people that are the same race of beings as Naboo, who powers Dr. Fate. He used it to fight him and beat him on the psychic plane, which is impressive when you consider that Dominus physically could not be stopped by Superman or Martian Manhunter. So Clark was able to beat him down in that way. And then Torquasm Rao is the other one. It is more of a meditation technique. Allows him to tap into his inner instincts and separate himself from his body and enter the astral plane on a more mystical, almost like a Tai Chi level. Like I've heard it been called pretty much the Kryptonian Tai Chi. And he's taught these abilities to his wife Lois, so he's very experienced in these martial arts. And on that note, Superman's skill, like Shulk said, is some of the most underrated in DC. A lot of people seem to think that he isn't skilled, but a lot of feats tend to tell me otherwise. He was trained by new god Wiosoka, a former combat instructor on Apocalypse. Diana has trained with him extensively, as is Martian Manhunter. during the Mongol story arcs in World World, he battled in the Death Arena plenty of times, even against Mongol himself, a very skilled gladiator. He's shown against the fight against Barbatos. He's fought numerous lives even fighting Barbatos. Or sorry, he has numerous lives worth of experience fighting against foes more powerful than him, such as Barbatos. And Batman has even complimented Clark on his skill, saying that even if he had no powers, he could easily take care of himself in terms of a fight with someone. So Clark has numerous upon numerous ways of skill and feats on that end. And last thing I want to talk about was his supernatural willpower, because I think it's also important here in this case, because it by extension talks about how Superman can resist, because Superman is also stated to have super strength and invulnerability, and this also extends to his indomitable will. So the spirit and will of Superman is one of the strongest, probably in DC, because Superman is one of the most iconic characters, and what he stands for really shows that he has willpower suffice to never give up, to rise above, and to beat the enemy and achieve the impossible. That's a lot of what Superman's story derived from. Is willpower that also allows him to impose his own barriers on himself to make sure that his power doesn't cause tectonic plates to shift just by flexing, which by extension means he does not want to harm innocents in any way. And when it comes to supernatural, though, and a really powerful foe, those limitations are somewhat abandoned, and his willpower can take the form of many feats. It's been called infinite before. His manifest faith and will undid the reality warping effects of Emperor Joker. He's reversed the magic of Etrigan the Demon with his willpower. His will is said to be stronger than his own physical strength or his muscles, and he has many feats being compared to Green Lantern willpower, such as Superman was actually supposed to be one of the successors to Green Lantern Abin Sur, who gave Hal Jordan his Green Lantern ring, but it went to Hal because Clark was not from Earth. He's overpowered Guy Gardner with his own willpower to the point where when they were in a fist lock, the ring was stolen from Guy and it was made Clark's own. And by way of
Wow.
reference,
What?
yeah,
That is
That is wow.
that is a power
that's
move.
You know,
a spin in the face.
I was gonna
That's a
comment
spin
on the. I was gonna comment on the fact that he fucking undid Emperor, but no. That is wow. That must. I could never be a Green Lantern again. That shit.
That must
Yeah,
make
that's
Akil
a-
so happy to know that Gardner got folded that bad
Oh yeah, that
by
kid was
being
not
within
like
the
that.
general
Gardner
vicinity
always
of
gets
Superman.
folded.
And the thing is, like, Guy is pretty up there with willpower feats, like Kyle, John, and Hal. Like, he resisted the influence of Yellow Lantern Ring, and one of his most impressive was withstanding a neurosynthetic antimatter antibody that can graft onto the fabric of space and attack your nervous system to cause physical, mental, and emotional damage. And Clark said, fuck you.
They should put that in the next movie because I know Guy's gonna be in
My
the next.
God, that-
legacy.
Yeah, he is.
That it would be like the energy of if during Goku vs Superman was so skilled that Ultra Instinct decided to leave Goku and go to Superman. Like that's the kind of energy that's going on there.
Clark seems to do that so much. Like, even with, like, his speed feats, which we'll get into later, like, I don't think he's personally faster than Flash, but, like, he gets so damn close, I would not be surprised of people saying, like, they think he's faster than Flash, just off of how fast his feats are. But a few more Lantern feats. His willpower is so strong, he lent it to Hal and Guy to charge the rings, and he powered the rings of 4 Green Lanterns, including Hal, who has willpower of probably the best willpower feats of any Green Lantern, at least the humans, by about 20%. And there's numerous statements also saying that he has the strongest willpower on Earth as well. So there's a lot of willpower feats he would theoretically scale to from various Green Lanterns, like Hal resisting the influence of Parallax numerous times, for instance. So that about covers a lot of his abilities I wanted to cover, because Clark has a lot of abilities that, like, he just has because he's a character with a huge history. So at some point, yes, he's used telekinesis. Yes, he has manipulated the electromagnetic field. But there's a lot more of a big picture with this debate that, like, you don't need to mention all of it.
So
I will
we
take
shouldn't
the floor
mention the
to Akira
time.
talking
We should
about-
mention the time that Superman vibrated so hard that he launched a planet that was phasing into another omniverse. Like that's how it's written. Like what the fuck? What does that even mean? He just vibrated so hard that he launched another planet across everything.
Ape should brain rot that JPG.
Just so like if Superman just decides to like, let's just say he fights Optimus Prime for something. There's nothing stopping vibrating Optimus Prime outside the fucking Omniverse. Is that what?
Superman coming in with the omniversal vibe check.
Goku just like has to rush himself out back into the fight on some like.
Goku just like whoa. Goku instant transmissions back and is like, what the fuck was that? And Superman's like, sorry, I was taking a piss and I had the shiver. You know when you shiver after taking a piss? My bad. It happens. I'm just imagining Superman like rolling around in his sleep, vibrating at just the right frequency that he launches his bed across reality.
I'm now you know what? I'm now reminded of that one comic recently where like Superman is fighting Lex Luthor, and like he like basically just fucking just goes, "I'm him" to Lex, and time and space mean nothing to me, and he like portals all across the universe or some shit. One taps Lex and completely like fucking destroys him. It is like the most holy shit. Like I know it's always been implied like Superman, like if he really wanted to, yes, could like fucking like fuck with Lex without any difficulty. But it's the way it's handled that it's like he just taps the suit and it just fucking just vanishes. Like what the fuck?
I mean, Superman holds
I've been
back so
saying
much.
for 2 years that he could kill Lex whenever he wanted to, and nobody believed me.
See,
I believed you, Akil.
See, I mean, I believe in the fact that yes, Superman is generally holding back and could, in fact, kill Lex. But that applies to basically every one of his rogues to begin with, so it's not like...
Pretty much.
To be fair, you have Darkseid, you have Doomsday, you have freaking
probably
Mr. Mixes-Fiddler.
I do like.
I mean, a lot of those characters are.
No.
I do like that when Superman was fighting
Zod,
Emperor Joker, they just explicitly go, by the way, he's still holding back.
Right. It's like...
Superman literally fought Zod like while blind and like completely handicapped, and he still did pretty okay. I feel like Clark kind of cleared Zod.
Man, poor Zod really is the. I understand Vegeta versus Zod now. It makes so much sense.
Oh. And again,
I think it's gonna be funny if they just went like Zod versus like Thrak and Invincible, because that's gonna be like
so funny because like
by all accounts Zod should be the one who feels like a little bitch there, but he's gonna be the one who puts Thrag on his.
It's just so funny too, because like obviously there's the obvious like the Herald tier just like completely invalidates anything Thrag does, but just the fact that Viltrumites are explicitly weak to exposed heat, and that is the thing that powers Zod. I just imagine
the battle ending with like Zod beats Thrag to the point where Thrag can't move anymore. He just taps his shoulders like kneel, and then it's like forces Thrag to kneel.
Just like that'd actually be raw. That would be raw.
Such disrespect.
I like the ending you told me, Nemesis, when I was in Texas of like that. Well, Zod trying to get him to kneel, just yelling kneel, kneel, and he's like beating on Thrag, and Thrag dies like standing up somehow, like kind of like in a guts way, I guess, as a reason, but like
dies
just standing up dead, like I refuse to
never
kneel.
gave Zod the satisfaction. We'd rather die than
that would
kneel.
also go raw.
That would be my preferred ending.
Thrag like a Kryptonian statue.
Yeah, that would be my preferred ending. Is Zod just doesn't get the satisfaction, because if he makes Thrag's kneel now, Thrag's already dead. There's no value to it anymore.
Right.
And I guess we're on stats now?
Oh yeah, we're Akil, tag in.
Awesome. Basically, Superman is quite powerful, as far as DC characters go.
Really? Holy shit.
I genuinely love the way you said that.
Yes, nobody knew that. But yeah, here he is. He's the poster boy of DC. So most of the scaling for other characters does come from him. He has a lot of good strength feats. Obviously the bare minimum nowadays is universal, and he has quite a few feats on that level. He's clashed with his like golden age self, and he was able to almost like that clash was threatening to destroy two entire universes. He's helped contribute to the energy of a
Hold
Big
on, hold on,
Bang.
hold on. Oh, I just had a
He's
thought. Not only is Ultra Instinct something Superman did first, so is L Shockwaves apparently.
Yeah, I mean they pretty
Right.
much shattered all of space and time. Um,
Also, so is
so
the Goku Broly fight thing.
That Broly shit was also a Superman thing.
Superman did both of those in the same fight, decades before Goku did anything.
Yeah. Um, Obviously he scales to Orion. It's like emanations within the universe, which can withstand universe destroying attacks without much of a problem. Dark side emanations have multiple statements of being a threat to the universe, and on his good days, Superman is able to, fight quite evenly against them and even defeat them here and there. Um, and obviously, he has several other feats. He scales to characters like Wonder Woman and Flash, who have their own feats of threatening the entire universe. Like Wonder Woman's lasso can rewrite timelines, and that
What the
does scale back
fuck?
What the
to
fuck?
Diana's own power.
Yeah, that is an actual
Wait a
skin.
minute.
He
No, no, no,
actually-
Akil,
Minute, what?
you've been gassing up Wonder Woman's hack so much to me, Akil. You never brought that up to me.
Wait a minute. Why
I've
the
seen
fuck
you
are
play it.
lasso?
I feel like I have. That's like
Is that like hold on?
something that
Akil-
I'm gonna ask, is the logic here that she can make anything tell the truth, so she can apply that to reality? Is that the logic we're running on?
her lasso does have a few reality warping like effects. I mean, it's like
Good job, DC.
there's like it's all over the place, but across like DC's history, I know Hestia has like, is it Hestia? Yeah, I think Hestia has some thing to do with her lasso. Aphrodite has like a bit to do with her lasso, and obviously it
almighty
was forged by
reality warping
Hephaestus.
rope.
All of that like divine magic does allow her to warp reality to a certain degree.
So let me
Um,
get this straight. Anytime she's like forced, if Wonder Woman throws a lasso on you, it's not just like, maybe she messes with your mind. No, she's literally rewriting the laws of reality and and timelines so you could tell the truth. Is that what I'm getting at here?
No, that's not what it does, but when she does throw the lasso at you, it binds your body, mind, and soul and forces you to speak the truth from like your truest self. It can make certain truths into like no, I believe it can manipulate truth to a certain degree, and that's where the reality warping stuff comes in. But like she can literally rewrite reality, like not full on Scarlet Witch level reality warping, but like
But a
minor
timeline is
changes in
still pretty
reality.
high.
That's still a fucking crack for the lasso of truth. That's the last thing I expected it to do. I thought it was just simple enough.
the
No,
skin-
it can.
Yeah, the skin you showed me, Akil, seemed pretty like explicit. Like, yeah, it can has the power to rewrite timelines if misused.
Yeah, just casually.
Yeah.
Just like,
It would have been.
and where was that in She-Ra? When like She-Ra is about to break the star seed, one of them says, you know what? I'll just take the lasso, just wrap it around the fucking universe, and just
Yeah,
like,
no. Everyone's like, oh my God, Wonder Woman's swords are so powerful. No, those are her weakest weapons. Like
She
those
also like
swords are
explicitly
so.
can't use them the way that everyone thinks she can. Literally, like in the scan
No,
that
and
everyone
even if they
uses, she
could
says
cut
that
through
she can't.
atoms, they're still the weakest swords. They're
Oh,
just
yeah.
swords at the end of the day. They can't do much. Her bracelets can do a lot. Her lasso can do even more. Hell, the
Or even her
invisible jet
tiara,
can
like-
probably do more than those swords. So
The
like,
invisible jet does have guns.
Didn't
So.
her
I was like,
didn't her
those
tiara
swords.
like the tiara on her head? Didn't it literally like slit the throat of like a god? Oh, okay, that's a bit vague, but like it's
He
not the throat of
threw the
someone
tiara at
powerful.
Superman and it cut open his neck.
Oh,
Yeah,
Superman. That's
Because like
right.
the swords, not only can she not use them the way everyone thinks she can, they're also just really sharp, and that's it.
I remember, like, how, like, Frieza Megatron is like kind of preferred to be like a reused script from like an older season.
Right,
I'm
She-Ra
like,
Wonder Woman.
I was partially thinking I'm pretty She-Ra Wonder Woman was probably just a reused script from
'Cause, like,
season 4.
Wonder Woman's analysis is so similar to her one from versus Thor.
Right, and like She-Ra, they put the comics in like the guide, but it's mostly just the 80s stuff.
Yeah.
Which it's like after that, it was like, oh wow, that makes more sense now. Oh,
They literally just like black boxed some of the comic stuff and then left it at that, I think.
yeah. It's gonna be funny because then Skeletor's gonna come on in the next episode. He's gonna be like, they might go whole hog and go. Anyhow, the DC cosmology might play a factor into how strong he is.
He did mind control Superman.
And all roads lead back to DC. Even apparently Zed might lead back to DC.
I like how we barely brought up any of Superman's resistances when the only one that matters is that he resists Hakai, because that's Goku's like only big hacks power.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like what is it? Like the Omega beams basically do everything Hakai does, but better, and Superman's just walk through those at multiple points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Omega beams are, like,
hey,
pretty-
there's the key sword. If that ever shows up, I doubt it. No. You gotta talk about the Zeno button. That's Goku's strongest hacks, the Zeno button.
That still wouldn't work though. That's the best thing.
It wouldn't work, but it's probably. I just like the idea of imagine if Goku Ryu, he's like, all right, this is getting tight. I think I have no other choice. He just taps the Zeno button like a summon, and then Ryu has to throw a Pokeball, and Arceus has to counter it, and then they just hit each other out of reality.
Okay, but imagine
Zeno
versus Superman. Goku brings out Zeno. Zeno does this thing a few times, nothing happens, and Zeno's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna dip." Actually, and just fucks off.
Actually, if Zeno erases reality, wouldn't Goku be the one that dies and Superman would just be there in the void?
Goku, if they're giving him heroes, he might be able to key sword his way out of there. I don't know.
Goku might just be stronger than Zeno if we're using heroes. Like, he's probably stronger than Zeno.
I think he'd be close. It's like, by the logic of heroes, because like Fu was approaching Zeno's level. So if you're going on that logic, Goku's...
What I mean is, like, he's stronger than the Zeno that we see in Super.
Oh, then yeah.
Technically, using universe size and multipliers, he's already stronger, but that's purely a versus debater thing.
I know a lot of people are like, Goku's this, like, he can resist Hakai, like, he has all of this, like, you know.
But Goku does have... Goku does resist a lot, because he does just resist Hakai. Like, Frieza tries to basically sick it on him, and Goku tanks it in his base form.
I think Goku does resist existence erasure to a certain degree, but I think one more thing that needs to be taken into account is, like, Frieza does it, and then, like, okay, he resists it from Frieza. I know Frieza borrowed it from, like, a different god of destruction. But, like, if you have someone like Beerus, who's very clearly, like, on the higher tiers, it's like if Beerus tried to Hakai Goku, I feel like it would work.
It would work, but it sounds like Dragon Ball power levels, like, kind of...
Yeah.
At the very least, if Zeno tried to erase Goku, it would work.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, he should just resist it, because, like, the God of Destruction energy he resisted was still from, well, a God of Destruction. It was from Sidra, or whatever that was his name, the Ganondorf-looking fucker. And it was intentionally designed to kill. That was, like, it was an assassination attempt. And Goku was in base form when he survived that.
Let's also consider Goku can resist it without being completely immune to it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, like, if Superman had some form of his existence erasure, which, you know what, he probably does, somewhere, then... Can Superman do the retcon punch? He probably should be able to pull off the retcon punch, technically. That's not really existence erasure, but I would believe he could do that.
But that's not really existence erasure. That's more like manipulating the plot. Well, actually,
it's better. It's just objectively better.
Like, as far as I know, it can either like rewrite history, but also like rewrite you so hard that it's almost like you were never written. So I guess that is existence erasure, but Superman himself performing it doesn't sound
Superman
I-
has never done it.
I don't think he
so
ever would, but
I-
if there was like a comic where he was like, by the way, I could totally do that, no one would bat an eye. They'd just be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I
Being
think
fair,
the one thing I want to bring up with the Omega beams is like they are existence erasure, but only if Darkseid wills it, which isn't a problem for Superman because Darkseid has tried to like erase Superman with the Omega beams and it didn't work. But
I
with
would go
other
as far as
characters,
say like
yeah,
I would
with
go as
other
far as to say
characters,
that
it's
like
like, do you want to go first?
no, you go first.
Okay. With other characters, the Omega beams are kind of like Darkseid can choose to erase you, but he can also choose to just like torture you, and it varies here and there because
Like with
Darkseid's
the
not
Batman thing.
always the type of person to just like instantly get rid of you. He usually has his own motives, and half the time he doesn't like see you as significant enough to like instantly kill, if that makes sense. So for some characters, he
Yeah.
might just like teleport them somewhere or just like physically knock them out. For others, he might like damage their soul. For others, he might just completely erase them from all of time, all of space, on a physical, mental, spiritual level. He can do that. He just doesn't always choose to.
It's not
With
just Darkseid who's
Superman,
done it against Superman too. Like other characters have tried to erase his existence. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure Time
yeah.
Trapper tried it and it just didn't stick.
Yeah.
Time Trapper, Mixie, Dominus as well. Tried to uncreate him and it didn't work. Also, I feel like on the Omega beams, like I would not be surprised if Clark has probably been hit by the Omega beams more than like anyone. Like Doomsday's been hit by them once, Barry was hit by them once, but like I feel like either people get hit by it or they dodge it. Like Firestorm is able to redirect it, but like Clark, I feel like has been hit by it so many times that like at some point you would probably have to be trying to kill Clark
Yeah,
for him to
yeah.
do much.
No, like Darkseid, there's a statement that straight up like Darkseid pretty much implies that he's like firing with the concept of termination itself, aka he's
So,
trying
like,
to
it erases-
completely remove Superman from reality.
It just doesn't
Yeah,
work.
because
And
I
it
know
doesn't
for
work.
that like it erases you down to a conceptual level, like including like so like there's no memory of you either, like so you can't ever like be rebirthed or redeemed from like even if someone remembers you, like it erases like the memory of your existence on a conceptual level.
Would that work to
That's
kill
just
Doomsday?
nuts.
Like if he did that to
Yeah,
Doomsday,
it
would
would.
that work?
isn't Doomsday coming
guess
back
so.
from a fucking memory these days?
Yeah, but like if Darkseid
No,
can
but
make
like
if
Darkseid
Darkseid can make it so that even a memory cannot bring someone back, that is a perfect counter to Doomsday, theoretically.
Yeah, but it's
Pretty much.
yeah, but you heard what? You know what? It's fine. Doomsday doesn't need it to fraud check SCP. I hear.
Look,
I hear that.
I think if someone
pretty sure
gave
that Doomsday
Doomsday outside
instance-
help to bring him back, he would then be immune to that in the future, but he still needs to come back in the first place.
Yeah, Doomsday, that regeneration feat has like a bit of context behind it. I don't think it's something that Doomsday can pull off by himself.
To be fair,
necessarily.
it still sounds fucking weird.
Didn't he
Like,
get
it
wasted
sounds
by
like if you
Imperiex?
look at the
He did, yeah. Empirix
Yeah.
just
Just hit him really
okay,
fucking
okay.
hard, and that killed him
It's
for
weird
good.
because it's implied that he just got like erased to a point of not coming back, but we don't really see him like just get erased. Like we just see him get reduced to a skeleton. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
and that's like it, which I find a bit weird because that particular like being reduced to a skeleton, he could totally come back from.
Maybe
Maybe he
maybe
was,
he,
like,
fully
would-
erased.
he completely
Misremembering.
erased Doomsday and then put someone else's skeleton there.
I'm trying to
Weird.
find the
I think
panel.
the most logical explanation is that he just like nullified Doomsday's regeneration.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, this is this game where it happened. So it doesn't really show him except just getting skeletonized.
Yeah. I don't think we've actually got like
Yeah,
brought
a lot
up
of-
Superman's power beyond Universal yet, though.
Yeah.
Because he-
Oh yeah, I'll get to that.
Ramp it up.
His power beyond Universal, I guess DC Heralds have quite a few Universal feats that doesn't need to be said at this point, but other feats that he has, he fought this dude called Jackson in like the pre-crisis era,
What an intimidating
and
name.
their fight was able to like restore like an infinite amount of timelines.
What?
And in DC, that's pretty crazy because every universe has its like own infinite supercluster of timelines, and then there's like infinite universes that are like each multiplying, and then with each action and unaction all the timelines are multiplying, so it's like an infinite set of infinite infinities. And
Jesus fucking
this
Christ.
feat is just like, I guess, one set of infinity, quote unquote, but there are times where Superman's fights, like he's fought like multiversal entities, and if you were to scale him to them, then he would obviously scale to like that infinite set of infinities at,
Oh my
you know,
God.
his higher levels. And as far as characters that could be argued that level, obviously you have like the Guardians of Oa, and they're like pretty high nowadays, and I guess there's like a true form avatar argument with them too.
What?
They
But
were explicitly, they were explicitly said that they could take out every universe in existence by, some people in the Larfleeze comics, I believe. The gods of the House of Tuatham. They're like, yeah, there's a bunch of angry little dudes, but if they argued hard enough, they could take out everything.
Why does it
the
sound like
true
an
form,
alien?
it's not the same as the new gods, so it's not like they have like conceptual bodies outside of reality, but it's like they're like not really physical entities. They're like energy beings that like exist outside
Oh my God.
the
Oh,
universe.
that sounds a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, just I mean, they're not like living concepts that mold physical avatars to like do their bidding. They're just like kind of there.
This comment will age horribly.
Yeah,
You know,
something like that.
probably. This is the part where we bring up World Forger.
Yes,
We
sir.
could bring up World Forger. I mean, multiversal plus DC feats. They exist here and there, but usually a lot of feats are like a jump to like levels a lot higher than multiversal. Which Superman does have a few. A lot of the higher level heralds tend to have a few feats here and there, but as far as DC goes, Superman is the main one that shows them off. Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, they're a lot less consistent with them. Superman, I guess, as far as his rogues gallery goes, Darkseid and Mixie are the two most powerful ones. And you know, there are times where he gets his shit kicked in by both of them, as he should, but there's also times where he tends to do a lot better than logically he should be doing.
Let's keep in mind there is like an
And
in-universe explanation for why his power varies, because like it does depend on how much solar
yeah,
energy he's gotten
there
in.
is that I will get to, because logically Superman should not be this powerful.
Yes, sir.
But Mixie and Darkseid aside, you have the brothers three, the Anti-Monitor, the Monitor, and the World Forger, Alpheus, who basically like creates multiverses. I mean, it's self-explanatory. You have his name, the World Forger. He forges entire timelines,
No, no, no.
universes,
I don't think you
multiverses.
understand that World Forger implies like a planet. Not
But
like
he forges really, really big planets.
no, he forges a
Hey, I think
shitload
a
of them.
fucking a universe is a bit fucking bigger than a planet.
He forges
Okay,
really
but, like,
big
a
planets. They just
universe
happen
is
to be called
also, like-
multiverses to us.
He creates big balls, and those balls are universes, which could be seen as planets. Okay? Okay?
Say big balls.
They're slightly big
I
balls. They're
feel that
balls
might be one of the
that
best things you've ever said in my life.
they're infinitely large balls full of an infinite amount of things that each contain an infinite amount of balls.
Exactly.
This is like the next panty and stocking episode. But
Anyways,
yes,
Superman, at one point, punched this guy really, really hard. And keep in mind, this guy should have a similar level of power to the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, who at their peak are stronger than fifth dimensional imps and new gods.
Destroy a lot of
And he
balls.
one-shot this dude and destroyed his multiverse in the process. The multiverse feat is more than likely just multiversal, but he also did one-shot this guy who scales above multiple layers of DC cosmology.
Hold on.
Keep
You
in mind,
said just
Superman did
multiversal, but...
Sundip.
Oh, yeah, keep going.
Yeah. Destroying the multiverse, that was multiversal. One-shotting World Forger, that is a lot higher than multiversal. Keep in mind he was sun-dipped by many, many, many suns, which can be argued to be higher dimensional. You can also argue that they are not higher dimensional. There's two sides to it. But either way, you can argue that he did it under his quote unquote own power, or you can argue that he did it with some amp. And if we look at the sum amp category, there's like various arguments. But the point is, that's just one of the big feats. That's like one of the more popular feats, but there are other feats on that level. Obviously, he lifted a book of infinite pages with Shazam. That feat could be argued to be like, honestly, that feat could be argued to be universal, multiversal, or outerversal. Really depends on how you decide to see it. I
Why
think
not?
it's more likely that it's like
Doesn't it literally say
multiversal?
the multiverse is inside of it or some shit?
It's complicated. That book essentially contains like everything and anything that's possible. So like all timelines,
Well, that sounds pretty
all
fucking strong.
I want to point out,
pages.
Akil, that you're here saying
Isn't it
things
called
like...
the Book of Limbo too?
You're saying things like just multiversal. Do keep in mind, you did also earlier bring up that each universe contains infinite timelines. So, if there was like
Yeah.
2 universes per multiverse, that's 2 sets of infinity. That's already 2 times higher than Goku.
It's only multiversal.
It's only multiversal.
I mean, to be fair, this book contained the story of like DC's creation at like the point of the Overvoid, so
Oh,
it's-
okay. So it's only out of
Oh,
it's
so
a
it's
lot.
It's only
didn't
beyond
you start
all
with
of
that
the
one?
beyond the sphere of the gods. That's all.
It's a strong feat.
Yeah, it's a little strong feat.
I think. I remember back when. I remember when I pointed out to someone. Universal is a lot of power when you sit down and think about it. Like, remember in Shazam versus Carol, where they say, "Oh, yeah, it's 1/1000th of the Big Bang," and that is still, the Big fucking Bang. Carol fucking planet there. And nowadays, like, that was season 6. We're like 4 seasons later, and we're at a point where like the norm is expected to be multiversal plus at times.
We're at a point where, like, what if Superman was put at multiversal in this episode? He would be what, the 3rd DC character there this year.
The question is, where would he rank
pretty
amongst
much.
that? I'm looking through like where would he rank amongst
Martian
everyone else?
Manhunter got scaled to Perpetua. He wasn't put at multiversal. He was put at
I think it was like a mind thing. They didn't like physically.
No,
Yeah,
they brought up that he punched her.
Psychic feat.
They brought up that
Oh,
he
so we
punched
have
her.
Oh yeah, they did.
Perpetua literally hold back though.
They
I mean,
didn't
to be fair,
imply
that still would be enough to,
they put him
by their
outright.
numbers.
They outright put him at multiversal. They literally say that she's the creator of the entire multiverse. They don't specify how big that is, but they just say multiverse, and that he just punched her and gave her a...
To be fair,
But then Surfer got scaled to the in-betweener, who's apparently an abstract in overspace.
did they vocally say that? I keep
No.
forgetting because did they blackball?
Yeah.
Because I know Surfer basically, for being the herald, the literal herald, he didn't get that crazy of feats. I can't.
No, like, by the episode's logic, Surfer should have lost, because they only put him at Universal.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Surfer absolutely fucking annihilates Martian Manhunter, but the episode did a really bad job of conveying that. Just exceptionally bad, because there's multiversal Martian Manhunter versus universal Silver Surfer, and they gave Manhunter better regen feats, which I thought would be impossible to fuck up like that, and give Manhunter the better regen feats in an episode. They proved me wrong there.
It's funny how the logic.
He didn't even do that feat by himself. The Illuminati, no. The Quintessence literally brought him back to life after that.
Yeah, and like they
It's
they,
funny
they
because
literally
like
just have like Surfer came back from being blown to bits, and that's the best they explain it.
it's funny because the logic of it's power cosmic. I ain't gotta explain shit. Should work in that episode, but they don't really explain the
But
power
like
cosmic
they
like
do
that.
gotta
It's
explain
just
a little bit.
yeah, but yeah, the power. I think when they talked about the Speed Force and Wally Archie, they did say Speed Force I ain't gotta explain shit. But they, it's not like they just left it there.
Yeah, it was like doesn't explain why the Speed Force can do this, but they still explain what it was doing. That's what the Power Cosmic should have been. Explain what it can do, and it can do that because Power Cosmic.
I've been thinking, like, I have to wonder how long this verdict will be, because even though it's a fairly simple match comparatively, we've been getting, like, more beefier, juicier verdicts, which I will take, because I think I would have a fucking laugh if this episode's verdict was, like, I don't know, the same length as Vader Obito or something, because it's Goku versus Superman. I would hope it gets a little bit more meat on the bones, even if it will fundamentally end with, and Superman punched him harder across the multiverse and erased him from all of existence.
Here's this guy who makes really big balls, and these balls are bigger than the balls Goku deals with, and Superman punched him. And even if Superman, even if Superman was amplified and his base power is one Googleplex to the power of Googleplex times weaker than he was in that moment, he is still infinitely stronger than Goku.
It's like, I imagine it'll get a more beefier verdict. Because like, I've been appreciating that a little bit more for some of the recent ones, like Gojo Machima and Rick Doctor. Because I would hope this one, even if it's a more simple one, it just takes its time, because you want to make sure when Goku goes 0-3, they, like, justify it better than they did last time, where it was just...
Sit down, motherfuckers. Let me give you a rundown.
Like, last time, it was just, he is infinity. And that's it. That's game.
Which is funny because like, technically they're going to be saying the same thing, but like more.
It will be
like Goku's also infinity.
If you had a Goku who was powerful as Superman, would you even want him?
Apparently, yes.
And for a while before season 6, the great season 6 DC buffs, yeah, that was kind of true. Yeah, he was considered stronger, and he was still Goku.
Yeah. Like, Goku is stronger than where they put those two in the previous episodes.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
So, I think back then he would have been considered, like, star level back then.
Oh, Goku would have been, like,
solar
with,
system.
like, Cell. Maybe Galaxy by people who use the Broly feat.
I mean, like, back then people were hesitant on, like, even scaling him to that. Back then, like, you were, like, it was hard to get Goku higher. Up until, like, Super happened, like, the most people were pushing were, like, higher into planetary, and, like, I think there's a statement in Resurrection.
I saw plenty of people, because, like, a lot of people use GT at that point. I saw plenty of people doing, like, multi-solar system level Goku, and, like, that was where they would peak him out, because, like, Goku was able to slap around this guy who's stronger than Buu, and Buu's obviously stronger than Cell. And, like, because, like, Dragon Ball's always had, like, a lot of leniency in the Versus community compared to any other verse, period, right? Dragon Ball's always had a lot more leniency, and anyone who denies that is probably very new to the Versus community. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. Having been here since, like, pre-Boba versus Samus, people were so lenient to Dragon Ball compared to other franchises.
The humble beginnings of when we first got Shockwave Chan in Beerus versus Galaxia really is going to come a long way. And the thing is, it's going to lead to its death this time. But,
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the... Like, remember, we went for 9 times Universal. That was the highest they put Beerus, with some multipliers considered. And now, yikes.
No, like we look at, like, where Vegeta got. I guess this is where we can go and, like... Because do we even need to really bring up speed feats with Superman? He flew faster than Infinity. Story over. And he's done that multiple times.
He's pretty much, like... The most recent speed feat of his is him literally saying, space and time mean nothing to me. I can cross distances that seeks to, or sorry, cross spaces that seeks to beat distances. Something like that. Like the amount of
you
feats
might
he
as
needs,
well.
like probably, yeah. At that point, like he's like Flash is faster than him in my opinion, but like Clark is right up there with him. To be honest, like he still has like very solid and measurable speed feats that I think can put him the Hell
I
Lord
do miss him
Neron
too.
literally trapped Superman in a series of illusions that were universes and dreams in like this primal void beyond space and time, and Superman just flies out of it immediately, like escaping it. Like he was just flying, even though he was beyond space and time, for instance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this like void was like located within hell or something, and then or no,
And it
he
had like the
flies from this
foundation of
void to hell.
all universes and dreams.
Yeah,
Why
So
it's
not?
like Neron's little thing. Yeah,
yeah,
and he's also like flown through time via his own speed before, and
his cousin Carr also did that.
It's gonna be so funny when like they compare the speed feeds because it's gonna be like go instant transmission, which doesn't look like it looks like cool, but it's like it's typically just teleportation, and it's like Superman is literally defying the laws of infinity itself. You literally see a fucking infinity sign as he is bursting past it.
And this is not the only
It's
time
that's
he's
not
done
even
that.
his best
He's done it
speed feat.
several times.
Yeah,
No, he was able to like react to like both Barry and Wally like outrunning the concept of death.
I just imagine he saw it and he was like,
And-
wonder what's going on there.
He's also he was able to fly. He was okay. He was able to destroy reality blitzing missiles, aka missiles that literally
Oh god, this feat.
like
oh, I know this feat. The
they
sterilizing
speed
missiles.
blitz universes while sterilizing the information within reality. And they were traveling from, I believe, the monitor sphere. Because they're like conceptual monitor nanotechnology. Like they were sent by the monitors. And he was able, they like shrunk down into like physical reality so quickly that they reached Earth, or not Earth, but like the physical universe from the monitor sphere. And he was able to blitz those missiles, aka he flew faster than missiles that could blitz reality on a conceptual level, which is like several layers of
Yes, speed. Several layers of yes.
Speed.
Just put it that way.
it's not infinite because it's so much bigger than infinite. It's bigger than the concept of infinity.
Well, okay, yeah. I like how you make it sound like you started off like, yeah, wait, it's not actually like as if you're downplaying it, and then you ramp it back upwards. It's like a
just
roller
like,
coaster.
it's not actually infinite. We don't need to call it that small.
Yeah, it's not infinite. It's way too big to be called infinite.
And so this is where we like, where we can talk about how strong Goku would be and Superman would be based on actual like what Death Battle has said in their last few like references
Right.
to them. In which case,
So-
I want to point out that in Zatanna's analysis, they follow up from Zatanna has power across the entire infinite multiverse. They follow that up with, and she also says she's as strong as Superman once, implying that that is more impressive than the multiverse thing.
So like in regards to Goku, on the base level, it's like this is where I guess the forms come in. So like
Right.
he
yeah.
has like all of his big forms. There's Super Saiyan, which is like most iconic. You know, it's gonna show up there. It's actually already showed up. You've seen the preview.
Yeah, we've
But-
seen Super Saiyan
Super
Blue
Saiyan.
and Ultra Instinct.
Right. So Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3.
Preview looks great, by the way.
and,
I should say.
It looks fucking amazing. And like I should point Super Saiyan 3 is probably the most worthless one there of the blondies because it's stronger, but it drains his energy really fast.
It's only a
so
10 times
he really has no
multiplier.
reason to. Yeah, multipliers are a funny thing here. you'll see in how worthless they are, but that's beside the point.
Right, I want to point
Eventually,
out
he
that
gets God Ki.
Super Saiyan's multiplier is so weird because you can either take the statement. I think I brought this up when I did fucking the finale of season 2 in our death battle. That Super Saiyan's multiplier, you can either go with it's a 50 times multiplier, or that Toriyama once said he envisioned it as being 10 times what was there prior. So that would be a 200 times multiplier because it'd be 10 times Kaioken's maximum. Or you could go with the fact that Super Saiyan Grade 1 is a 50 times multiplier, and then Grade 2 is like 2 times stronger, I think, so that'd be 100, and then Grade 3 is 10 times stronger, so that'd be 1,000, and Super Saiyan Grade 4 is as strong as Grade 3 without the downside. So you could argue that full power Super Saiyan 1 is an 1,000 times multiplier as well. So even just Super Saiyan 1's multiplier is all over the fucking place.
Yeah, it's like you get that, and like Super Saiyan 2, I think is supposed to be
It's a 2 times multiplier.
it's like 100. Yeah, 2 times so it would be, and then like Super Saiyan 3 is like would be a 400 times to his base stats, and then like God shits on all of that. Now there is this. I guess I should probably talk about Saiyan Beyond God right quick because that's been kind of a weird one. So if you see the very famous, well-performing episode Hulk vs. Broly, you might be thinking, "Hey, didn't they say base Goku was essentially universal? So you slap on all those multipliers, and he's like, fuck you times universal." Well, that's been kind of like soft retcon and no longer really exists
From
even
Goku
within
Black
Death Battle
onwards.
and Dragon Ball.
Goku Black onwards, I
Right.
think.
It's like Saiyan Beyond God is so weird because that was probably the initial intent. But as Super went on, they probably realized even they could not justify randos like Winnie the Pooh, whatever his name was from Universe 6, or like the fucking furries from Universe 9 keeping up with universe level threats. So they had to dial it back. What I think Saiyan Beyond God actually supposed to be is he can tap into a portion of the God
Yeah.
Ki, and like as he eventually like ramps it up, he can eventually use Super Saiyan God, and then eventually he can put on Blue. Because the whole point of Blue, which or Super Saiyan form by the way, it's like it's supposed to be a dish. Like he takes the Super Saiyan Ki and the God Ki and combines it, which would be the logical explanation why he can still go into non-blue forms. But if you're taking the Super Saiyan multiplier, since that's what blue is supposed to be, it would be like still 50 times whatever God is. But he can also amplify blue with this other technique, which is Kaioken. Kaioken has a lot of multipliers. The highest we've seen, thanks to both the preview and just to show itself, is times 100. Now, I still think that should reasonably just kill him, because that is absurd. Like times 20, when he first used it in Universe 6 tournament, when he did times 10, no, it was times 10. It fucked him up so badly that not only could he barely move, but for like an entire day, his ki was in flux. He had a ki sickness, and King Kai threatened him with the idea of, you may never be able to get stronger again. And Goku looked legitimately sad. It was like, I think one of the few he was just legitimately upset. It was so funny.
I imagine him doing a Megamind no bitches face to that. No multipliers.
I think it's the same episode where like Goku just outright says, "No, Bulma, your tits are irrelevant. They are too saggy," which is such a. I think I can't tell what's more weird: the fact that Goku conceptualizes titties, or the fact that he's able to like actually determine like how saggy they are. Like, this implies he knows the differences. Like he can.
Well, I mean, there is Chi-Chi.
I mean, is that like? I guess that's like the best comparison he can make, but
He's never kissed
still,
her, but he has
still
seen
with-
them. He has seen them titties.
he can process like the differences, like, and I think we actually know Bulma's cup size for that because of that one damn
Oh my
episode
God.
where they ask they ask a literal plot device, like the guy who can answer any question, and it's like, okay, you have to answer. I need you to tell me your cup size, Bulma. I'll leave it a mystery as to what it is because it's funnier that way. But I guess the big thing, all these multipliers, all these things, pale. Like, not only are they kind of irrelevant because you've kind of heard why, but they all pale to Ultra Instinct, which is the new kid on the block. Now, typically, this is not supposed to be a form. The whole point of this ability is that it's something anyone can achieve. It's a state of being. This is constantly ignored, but Also not ignored, because I think Whis in the manga is basically tells Goku, Goku, you need to stop using Ultra Instinct like it's a fucking form. You fucking twat. That's not how it works. You need to. That's not how this fucking works. You're supposed to actually just use it normally. This gets uprooted multiple times. There's Sign, which is like the base, just purely defensive state where he's really good at dodging, and it's just the whole point is that he can he can act without really thinking. It's just his body just instinctually just moves itself, which is really cool, and it looked really cool during the Tournament of Power. It's one of the hypest anime moments of all time. It's fucking sick, and it looks cool, like Sign, and eventually he gets the offensive version later in the tournament within the same hour because Saiyan adaptation is fucking crazy. So he gets true the actual cum stain hair form, which basically he can apply it to offense. But if his emotions are out of control, he can use the newest state, which is true Ultra Instinct, which he isn't relying on martial arts, but makes up for it with his unpredictable fighting style and he taking hits and then dealing back the damage. He essentially just has Ultra Ego, but better, because Vegeta really cannot have shit in this house.
Ultra Ego, but good.
This is just and true Ultra Instinct is basically just Goku. It's sort of his thing. I guess it's technically not a technique, but he kind of took it. So you could just throw all emotions to the wind and just go raw ignorance, which kind of goes against the idea of Ultra Instinct, I'm pretty sure,
But they don't care.
But I've also heard conflicting reports as to whether this is supposed to be stronger than, the white hair. Sometimes I've heard it's on par, sometimes I've heard it's weaker. Depends on whatever Toyotaro's feeling that day. But that is sort of all these. But I guess if they are factoring in heroes, there is one little side transformation, and that's Super Saiyan 4. And that is the power of the Great Ape, Now this is a completely different brand, and even Heroes acknowledges it, but just in case. And then there's the bigger version, which is Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. What a fucking dumb name. But this is he gets red hair like God. And according to what Death Battle said, in Gogeta versus Vegeta, this is equal to blue. Now, I don't believe that, because in the same episode, Gogeta just throws it away and goes into Super Saiyan Blue anyways. But they have said that those forms are equal, and given Heroes multi-plus bullshit, and that's Goku probably in his base state at that point in Heroes. Stack upon, he's unquantifiably even stronger.
Yeah.
You may be asking how this is all relevant to Death Battle's takes. Well, they've had in the span of one season, we kind of got an idea of where they put regular Dragon Ball and Heroes. Now, they didn't give Heroes infinite speed. They black boxed it, so we don't really know they'll buy it. They probably will buy it for the sake of not having him get completely covered. And and it's also going to be the case where they don't have to spend time on multipliers, which honestly I will fully fucking take.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way they've handled Dragon Ball's been getting exponentially stronger, but with DC and Herald, actually, you know what? I'll let the others take it. That's not my territory right now.
Well, I was just gonna say that when it comes to Dragon Ball, where we know they put heroes in Trunks Silver, they explicitly say that they can't put an exact number on it, but power to affect the entire multiverse, which has infinite timelines plus one place outside of it. And the reason that Archie Sonic was bigger was because Archie Sonic also had infinite timelines, but also extra dimensional realms beyond infinity. And if we know anything about DC, is that it would look at a handful of realms beyond infinity and scoff. And we'd be like, we have an infinite amount of realms beyond this realm, which is infinitely beyond this realm, which is infinite beyond this realm, which has an infinite amount of things, all of which are infinity.
Yeah, that's why, when it comes to my take on this, when it comes to, how the episodes portray them, it kind of extends to how the cosmology has been looked at by all of them. So, Flash versus Sonic, Trunks versus Silver, and Goku Black versus Reverse Flash all kind of like go together in this way in terms of like what they talked about. So, for starters, with the DC cosmology, the Speed Force was kind of equated to the Chaos Force in Flash versus Sonic, in that they were higher dimensional realms beyond their infinite multiverses. But where the Speed Force hit it better was due to a bit more cosmological structures, such as the Bleed and the Orrery of Worlds. And in Goku Black versus Eobard, they said that the DC universe, quote, is too big for them. But of course, that doesn't really apply here because Heroes and Xeno information are also on the table. So, that being said, though, they also say with Trunks versus Silver that the cosmology for Archie, if I'm not mistaken, what did it say that it was bigger than the Xeno one?
Yeah.
I forgot. I don't want
Yes.
They literally
They-
say that Dragon Ball cannot compare. That's the extent they
Silver
go to.
is-
So, with that in mind,
Silver was literally infinitely stronger.
Yeah, infinitely more infinite.
But-
And keep
So,
in mind,
yeah,
even
so with
as
that
back
in
as
mind-
season 7, the very first line of, like, the very first sentence in Wally's analysis is, the infinite Earths were in crisis. Something like that. They open with, there's an infinite amount of universes in the multiverse. The multiverse of which they
Yeah,
scaled
so
Martian
with that
Manhunter
in-
to.
Yeah. And many of the enemies talked about that Clark has beaten fought have affected the DC cosmology even beyond the Speed Force. And there's a few examples Akil didn't mention, but things like fighting a being known as Rogalzar, who was shaking the entire Phantom Zone while fighting. The Phantom Zone's a
For
bit
fuck's
weird
sake.
because it's been described as universes within universes, but also described as a dimensional structure in the Sphere of Gods, where people like Darkseid and Highfather exist, and it's pretty much a comic book equivalent to Limbo, which contains, well, all that's written and unwritten. So things like that are pretty high in numbers for feats of Clark. He's fought people who have affected the cosmology beyond the Speed Force.
Didn't
And when you
Dominus
factor in the
make
fact
a
that-
Phantom Zone?
Yes.
So-
Yeah,
Dude, they
that
just
too.
fucking-
And when you-
So Superman, with his, like, mental power, with his brain, has enough power to beat up a guy who could make an entire realm within the sphere of gods.
Actually,
So
hey, never
basically,
mind.
yeah.
Hey, never
Yeah,
mind.
there's
Didn't
a
you like?
state for that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hmm?
I was gonna say like, Bang, didn't you like point out at one point like we like I know it was asked in a couple days, but like how like how smart is Superman relative to other Kryptonians? And it's like they bring up that panel where it's like Kryptonians are just naturally like these superly smart
Oh
people,
yeah.
but
Like
because Clark
there's
is
really-
raised by a human.
yeah. Like so there's scans inferring that Kryptonians are pretty much like 6th or 7th level into like beyond humans. Clark's ship that took baby Clark to Earth literally called Earth a bunch of apes with atom bonds, and Brainiac called Clark a level 8 Goku raised by like level 3 like fertilizers or some stupid word. Like Clark is also incredibly smart.
I like the idea like someone like Supergirl's on a base 6 level intellect. Just if they ever do that match, she just like sees the fourth wall and says, "Yeah, but I have a 7th intellect. You're fucked, She-Hulk."
Yeah.
I can just
But yeah, basically back to what I was saying. So with the notion that like the Speed Force is relative to the Chaos Force, if not higher, and then that is better than the Xeno cosmology, that's kind of a bit of a problem in this case because it's pretty much saying that Clark kind of has the better stats. But I know with Xeno and Heroes, there is a lot of more abilities that come with it, and that's also something that's part of the debate. Is like, what all does Clark resist that Goku now has with Xeno and Heroes?
I mean, like, just off the top of my head, they probably won't include items, but like, I think one thing he could just do naturally is that he could just punch the fucking soul out of people in Ultra Instinct. I don't know what. Like, it was like in the anime, he fights like these clones or something. I think it's like he's fighting like these baby wannabes, and like he literally just and like I think they were possessing someone, and he just punches their soul out, and it frees them from like the possession.
I
Like-
wanna
Yeah,
point
okay,
out.
I found it. Go ahead.
I want to point out, not only does Superman resist that, but if Goku did it successfully, he would force Superman into using Theta State and would make Superman stronger.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So
He resisted.
this is all like without bringing up the fact that Superman is like best mates with his own concept of death.
what?
The very concept of
Yeah,
Superman's
he
death
pretty
is
much-
friends with
yeah.
Superman.
So, if you want to talk about abilities, like if he does get items, at least in the side, like there's like 3 ones I think he has. The first is like the hero switch. It's like a bracelet that allows like him to essentially like summon like different characters and stuff. It's specifically the Dragon Ball Heroes cards, which essentially different Dragon Ball characters Goku can just summon. So now I want to make something clear. It's not like a Final Fantasy thing where he can summon like if he decides to summon Vegeta, he's not getting a Vegeta with literally all the years and experiences and movesets and capabilities. It's gonna be like a card that says Super Saiyan Blue, Top Gallic Gun. He summons that card, it does that, and then it fucks off. He can't just have free access to Super Saiyan to like a bunch of random other characters. As hilarious as that would be.
It's an army of fodder.
It's like super like, interesting.
Which doesn't
And then like he just lays down like
could he like summon a Vegeta and then quickly force a Patara earring onto him before he fucks off and force him to fuse into Vegito? Because that'd be really funny.
I think imagine he can summon like Gogeta and Vegito, throw like a fusion dance with them, and maybe like but like I guess the big ability is the Key Sword, which is like it has a lot of random unorthodox abilities. It can dispel darkness, like Dark Key. It can nullify powers, and like people at Kakarot, it can seal off abilities, and like it has the big one is like the Eternal Time Labyrinth, which sealed off Kakarot's super form and literally forced them to reacquire his youth or some shit.
All of
Like he
which,
went back to being
sadly,
younger.
is not going to help. If
He
Superman
can, like-
can
yeah,
undo the
he-
reality warping of Emperor Joker.
He can like travel across space and time with it. He can phase through people with it. It can like forge energy chains to seal people. Then there's the time. It can freeze people in time, speed up or slow it down, rewind it potentially because other people have done it. Create portals in space time, and of course there's like our healing because it can reverse time, and then like the time labyrinth, and then like the eternal time labyrinth, which I already mentioned, and potentially the power of darkness because reasons. And so like if the key sword I think has portions of dark energy, which means he can do stuff like BFR people, create illusions, poison, mess with like create like a pocket dimension, transmutation, and like mess with the laws of physics. And if you now, I would hope you've been paying attention to realize Clark has, especially one of those, will just kind of go, no, to
Yeah,
just.
pretty much.
Look,
I guess I should mention Goku has his own resistances. To be clear, I guess I want to keep him like it's Dragon Ball. Like he's resisted absolute zero temperatures. He's fought in lava before. He's been near the sun. Like Saiyans can briefly break out of mind control, and there's like it can kind of like it's weird intangibility. Goku kind of resists that. Battlefield removal, like Dragon Ball characters have broken out of alternate dimensions before by literally screaming like fucking apes.
And
and there's
fair,
like
the only battlefield removal that Superman would likely do is throwing him into the Phantom Zone, and he's not getting out of that. He's not getting out of that.
Yeah.
He's
Then
not-
there's like
he's not
time
doing that.
manipulation. There's like time manipulation, of course, where like Hit basically literally tried like using it, and Goku just went, "Well, yeah, I'm him. Your time manipulation is shit, Hit," and just punched to it. And other Dragon Ball characters have done that to Hit. Hit's literal last action in the entire fucking show is Jiren just brushes his time power, literally saying, "What's rubbish?" And Hit just has to sit there and realize, shit.
Maybe
got my
I
ass
shouldn't
beat.
have. Maybe I shouldn't have used time manipulation that relies on me being stronger. Maybe Goldo had a point.
like I actually know like in fighters, like they mentioned like God Key makes them immune to like 21's like weird super waves. Cause like that whole point of that game is it can like suppress the powers of others, but when they're using God Key, it doesn't work. And I guess also with God Key, like people who aren't on a similar ish level or have similar equivalents, they can't sense them normally. Like they literally just are essentially invisible to them. And then like there's like also stuff like the stuff he gets from like Dark Key because like the key sword, and I think like he might have absorbed part of it in like that weird berserk tree hero thing. He absorbed like a super tree; it was a thing, and it's stuff like he can like ignore mental worlds. There's like reality and history altering because like people like Xenopan have like been unaffected by their timeline being erased, so you might, and like Dark Shenron's mere presence causing distortions in space time and transmutation and actually resisting it, and not like the Vegito kind, to be very clear. Not like, oh, he still is transmuted. No, he just ignores it this time. So Goku resists a lot. Does it help? Well, I'll let you decide.
For the most part, it's resisting a bunch of powers that Superman is unlikely to use on him. And the main one I noticed was he can bypass intangibility, but like, you know, Superman's intangibility can bypass someone's ability to bypass intangibility, so.
He can phase him throughout the Omniverse.
Yeah. It's just like, it's really just not looking good for Goku.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of powers mentioned by Shulk is like, you can kind of pinpoint times Superman is resistant to. Like, he's resisted temporal distortions and time stop before. He's resisted soul manipulation because Etrigan beamed him with Hellfire, and that's explicitly said to be able to target the soul and even like stab you in the soul, apparently, which is pretty.
Eat shit, Lobo.
Yeah, and then resist heat from Apocalypse, existence ratios we've talked about before. And that's the thing too. Like they both have a lot of resistances, but also like Clark's powers are not really stuff that fall into this category of like he's not like a time stopper. He's not like gonna seal Goku or anything. So a lot of it also comes down to like their power, just raw power.
I should like mention like, this was all theoretical because I don't think they'll give him the key sword because it's meant to still be at its core like the same Goku. It's not like Xeno Trunks, who is like the actual focus, is the alternate version of Trunks and all that he can do. It is gonna be more like he gets powers and stuff from heroes, but at its core, it's still gonna be focused on what Goku himself can do.
We didn't even mention how the Sword of Superman, like if we're giving Key Sword to Goku, what the Sword of Superman can do. It's not even necessary. Because like the Sword of Superman is it does a lot. It's very strong, but it's not going to matter. They're not going to use it probably, and if they do, I'll be very surprised.
I expect like some pre-crisis fuckery to slither its way in somehow. I don't know how.
Flying beyond infinity. They're probably going to use that.
Power-wise, like I mean, like power-wise, I think like they might get some random pre-crisis power or some shit.
He's going to shoot mini
just
Superman.
because there's
He's going to shoot out mini Superman against the hero summons.
I'd be okay with that.
Just fires out an unlimited wave of himself.
You know, yeah, all these powers Goku might have, they might be useful on Ryu. I'm sure Ryu ain't doing jack shit about some of that, but here, you know, Superman's just gonna play his own theme, and it's just gonna be bye-bye.
Hasn't Superman flown out of the comic before? Like, just left the comic?
This Doom Patrol shit.
Like, I'm pretty sure he has, and that would basically nullify the whole Goku confused with the audience, while Superman could just fucking kill the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So deranged.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure he escaped like a weaponized version of Hyper Time, which kind of lines up with what you're saying.
Goku tries to fuse in the audience, and Superman goes to the audience and no, you do that or I'll kill all of you.
he just grabs them all and just flies everyone on Earth to like another reality, and it's like Goku's like, "Hey, where are all you guys?"
it's like that moment in like the no smoking PSA where he just like grabs that guy and throws him into fucking space. Oh my god. So if the general idea we to summarize is if by our logic, Goku dies. He doesn't really have like he's not a fairly simple character. And a lot of the stuff like he can do while useful in the grand scheme of things is like if I want to play like devil's jackass here, and I'm gonna fail at that, mind. It's like okay, they don't go full whole hog on dimensionality. If Goku is in relative in stats, say an adaptation might allow him to get stronger. But of course, I preface that's not going to happen. And at that point, like Superman, like the most I can give Goku is probably he's reasonably should be a better fighter. Not, of course, Superman is skilled, but like Goku is the martial arts man. That's kind of his thing, and he's just been training way longer in that regard.
That said, Superman has way more experience, and is not even remotely close. And he has trained with multiple characters who are also considered that martial arts person, that like peak of martial arts.
Like Karate Kid.
Yeah, I was waiting for Karate Kid. I like the pink human Kryptonian Buster.
I think
The most like
Goku
herald
is,
street
like-
tier of all time.
Go ahead, Akio.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think, like, on average and also, like, at their best, Goku might be a better fighter just because Superman, like, he has trained with some of the best, but, like, while that puts him up there, I don't know how that would directly compare to someone like Goku who has, like, direct showings of his skill level.
Well, I mean, so does Superman. It's just that they're more like scattered out throughout
Yeah,
his history, as you might expect.
Yeah.
If you were to take Superman, like all of his best moments, and put those together, that would probably equal or maybe even surpass Goku's biggest brain moments.
I mean, I'm not exact. How much like emphasis does Dragon Ball put on Goku's training and like
A lot.
I mean, that is his thing.
There is
That
like
is, like,
there
the
is
whole-
a difference between the emphasis they put on it and how they show it. They emphasize that he trains a lot. They do kind of just show it as the same 1-2 punch kick combo.
It's like they showed like it's made clear he's a combat genius. Like again, he copies moves with like
He
initiatives,
figured out
and some
like,
of his moves.
hits entire way of fighting by like observing how he like moves his legs and hands.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a great example.
and there's
that
like
came
the
to
whole
mind.
turn. Yeah, and the whole turn of power is him just getting like understanding how other characters act. And the turn of power is like the multiverse's best fighters with radically different abilities and skill levels. And even in the midst, mind you, he had to basically do all of this and learn and adapt and get stronger under an hour. And like a lot of these characters are radically different in what they do and how they operate. Like you have to figure out how like this weird black hole thing works that fucked with his instant transmission. And like all these other characters are also like talented martial. Like Hit is particularly 1,000 years old or whatever. So he's like, and like you have other characters like Beerus who are like, yeah, Goku isn't as strong as him these days because the goalpost will forever be moved. But like Beerus is still a guy who's hundreds of years old and has been trained by like the super god himself, and he still considers Goku a potential worthy rival. And you got people like Broly who Goku could also still relatively handle at least for a bit. And Broly is also another guy who can copy and adapt as he fights. And Goku was like putting him on his ass at least for a bit, and he was keeping up until Broly had his moment.
Yeah, I think
Then, in that case-
if we're being generous, we can go Goku, probably more skilled, probably more formal training in terms of years he spent. And if you want to be super generous, you might be able to argue that because both get to infinite immeasurable in speed, you can just say that they're equal and ignore anything that would suggest otherwise.
Yeah.
Right. It's like what I expect from the like how they'll handle. So like assuming this is a longer they'll be like, okay, they are both multiversal. Asterisks. Goku's multiverse is small bitch baby size by comparison. You're only infinite timelines. What a fucking joke.
Yeah,
The,
'cause, like,
the World Forger.
Yeah, because like going based on what they said, unless they scale Superman like below Martian Manhunter, which I would be very surprised. Manhunter, they scaled to the whole multiverse in this season. In the latest, like, example we have of where they might put these characters was him on the DC side. Scaled to the whole multiverse, which they have said before in other episodes is infinite, but they have also brought up on multiple occasions other realms that are beyond that infinity in a couple episodes, if I'm remembering correctly. And that should just surpass where they put Dragon Ball before.
That fucking map is going to be right there, front and center. The famous cosmology.
Someone's gonna take that and go,
Martian
there's only
overload.
52 universes though, so like, isn't he only like 52 times universal? It's like 52 in the multiverse. And so you're like, fuck off. The map is like not literal. Like the realms in the sphere of the gods are not literally in that order, stationary the whole time, and there's not literally like one of each with no variations at all, because there have been like multiple like hells before.
Is that map even still relevant because like of how the
It still is. It's still pretty. I still feel like it's like I'm pretty sure even like DC themselves during Scott Snyder's runs, like I'm pretty sure most people just use it. I'm pretty sure World Forger just uses like a table to show the Justice League, like, so here's where we are when like the Dark Multiverse stuff was coming up, or maybe not World Forger, someone else, but like it's pretty much used like as a map for the characters themselves.
Okay. It just sounds funny because like how much there've been many crisis events. It's like every 3 years, and like what like they'll probably do that and like say they are both infinity in speed, but Goku's is still bitch baby. Superman is literally bypassing the laws and conventions, and he's done. Or they might just pull a Wally Songs, like he's just done it more times. So in I guess the brisk of the moment, he would know to just move around Goku.
He's also been taught speed fighting from the Flash before, so
Yeah.
he has like training in
Like Flash
deep
would
that-
have him like the 3,000 punch a second combo.
And like they're gonna just say like, "Hey, we're gonna have like," and they'll like do all the smallest like, "Okay, here are their abilities," and like they're not. I imagine if they bring up Hakai, the Hakai's gonna be funny because like they might make a bigger deal of it than it really is because Goku's used it once and it's a kind of a shit one. It's like the only way they can make it seem relevant is if you argue like in like Dr. Slump or whatever, they like resist the plot being changed or whatever, right? And then like Beerus and Hakai, Dr. Slump characters. You'd have to basically say, well, Goku's Hakai is narrative based erase your existence, which would still not mean anything because Superman is like the conceptual narrative. It's literally just like it's like, and if Goku has whatever hacks he has, it's literally just no you or no.
Yeah,
He is the original.
I can't stop loving the fact that Superman did the shockwaves first. And bigger too.
I think this is a great way to transition into Superman's narrative.
Oh
quote, unquote.
no.
That's honestly like a very poetic way to end this stuff off.
You are the last
Akil
person I
inspires
thought would be the
Superman.
one to bring that up, Akil.
Oh my.
I'm
It's
bringing
like-
it up because I think it's really stupid to use in like a versus
Oh, here
sense.
we go,
And
baby. I'm so ready for this. I've been waiting for this for 3 years.
oh no, I'm not gonna get into all of that. That deserves its own video,
Aw.
tearing it down piece by piece after lighting it on fire.
Oh.
But, you know, we'll light it on
Almost
fire
enough.
after we tear it down piece by piece. But we'll start the tearing down of the story of Superman today. TLDR, it is real. It does exist. Should it be used is a completely different question because it's completely random and Goku's not even powerful enough for it to activate. Because, like,
Wow.
Okay,
In
Akil,
order
you were
for
supposed to tear
it
down the
to, like,
story of
He
Superman, not
finally pulled
Goku.
He finally pulled the trigger.
You
pulled
basically
the
did the
trigger
fucking
finally.
epic rap battles, why don't you pick on
Guy
a brain your
Gardner.
own size sort of thing right there.
I just said that Goku is so, cannot even make it acknowledge its
Goku is not
Yeah.
Keep
even
going, I'm
a part
sorry.
of the story of Superman. To the story of Superman, Goku is a background extra.
Some
Technically
wet
It is
bullshit.
speaking, the
DC.
story of Superman, its concept is that good always beats evil, and that Superman will always be alive because he's the representation of hope in DC and he's the poster boy of DC. So by like fighting Superman, in a sense, you're fighting against like DC Comics as a whole. That's like sort of the idea.
But you see, because
Because
Goku's chances of
DC came
winnings
up
are
with
completely hopeless, it doesn't matter.
no, it's like you're fighting against the concept of superhero. Like that's the archetype you're basically fighting against. And first of all, Goku's not even evil. He's not a villain. I don't it I don't think it would be like I think this would just be like Superman like getting into like an argument with, I don't know, Green Lantern and then they like fight it out for like a few
Hey, guess what? It
minutes
ends
or
about
whatever.
the winner is about the same as if that happened.
Yeah, and it's it's really not this yeah, you can argue it's this end all be all thing, and aka just because he has it, Superman should win every fight. But we've seen before that it doesn't even like activate all the time. Superman does lose, even now, even at quote unquote the strongest he's ever been. I feel like there's a
Godzilla
comic where
Megalod.
he takes an L somewhere here or there, and he has so many losses. I mean, he was killed by Doomsday. That's kind of like a big thing with him. That didn't come into play, didn't save him then.
He also
And
didn't
yeah,
die.
someone can be like, but it's Superman at his peak. You can't take low showings. It's not a fucking low showing. It's just him across his story. And this happens every time. It's not like Superman is this perfect character who doesn't lose. He has a ton of losses under his belt. So it's not this like omnipotent like power that always comes into play and saves him.
Just
There's
like from
times where yeah, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
My rant's not gonna end anytime soon, so just interrupt me whenever you want.
I was gonna say this is like reminds me way back when like Wally versus Sonic happened. The art was like Archie Sonic is like he is like a plot factor, like the whole embodiment of chaos that and it was like argued for a while that he could legitimately like cannot be killed by like normal means because like the plot. And like I remember Ben like when he like did the cast, it's like, yeah, but that sounds fucking stupid.
Technically, it doesn't even matter because if we remember, the Flash did this little thing called like Flashpoint, which completely changed the plot of everything. Technically, so he could just like do that again, and
I
then
think that was
now the
just
plot's
kinda
changed
like-
and Sonic's just not in it.
Random. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I
the thing is with this Superman like narrative, the story of Superman, it's like it's a meta fictional like plot armor. Like, okay, I'm not even joking. The story of Superman is literally plot armor because the thought robot, like the cosmic armor that you
Oh,
think
no!
about when you fought Mandrak,
He's not being used in this, by
that
the way.
was
Everyone's
the-
wondering.
that was the Overvoid sensing the story of Superman and sealing it over with physical divine metals. That's
literally
like not
punched-
even physical Superman.
he
That's like the
literally
idea of
punched the plot.
Superman.
Like, I
Yeah, he
remember
can
in his
punch the
fight,
plot. The
there's like
story of
the plot is
Superman-
trying to fight against Cosmic Armor Superman, and he's just like, no. No, you're not.
He just
Yeah,
keeps
no,
adapting
Cosmic
to
Armor
it over
Superman
and over and
has-
over.
Every superpower that you can possibly think of in existence.
Because he used
But
the
it's also
concept
not
of,
something
like,
that Superman
superhero.
can just.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, like it's not like you wouldn't use it, especially in this. Like it would make no sense. They're clearly using just Infinite Frontier, so just Rebirth Superman. So you wouldn't go grabbing all
Yeah.
these other versions in.
And even in even Rebirth Superman, like the story of Superman was present in Doomsday Clock because Dr. Manhattan basically like erases the entire metaverse and he realizes that it's always gonna reform around Superman. Like he gets rid of Superman. He directly like conceptually like attacks Superman and then he realizes I can't like he can get rid of Superman. He just can't get rid of the idea of Superman
You can get rid of Superman, it
because
just won't
DC's
stick.
always gonna fight back.
It's funny.
It's
It
literally
kinda
just like
reminds me,
Dr. Manhattan like just rubs him out with an eraser, and then the drawing just comes back. It's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, because DC is always gonna fight back, but this is like in Death Battle, it wouldn't really make much sense because how is DC gonna fight back using plot just because it wants Superman to live? Like obviously Goku, again, I'm gonna emphasize this and I'm sorry, I don't mean to like rub salt in the wound, but like Goku's not strong enough to like even kill Superman normally. He's certainly not gonna erase him from the plot, but say there was a character that was capable of doing that. I don't think Superman has like any matchups. I think the closest character that Superman can fight that could reasonably do that would be like Sentry.
I knew it was gonna be Sentry. It's always gonna be Sentry. It's gonna be fucking
Maybe in
Sentry.
that fight, the story of Superman can like show up and be like, "Hi, Sentry, you can't get rid of me."
Hey, Sentry, fuck off,
But
mate.
at the same time, you
You're
run into a
going to-
problem.
Superman just shows up with the story, says you're going to job to the Thunderbolts soon. Cool.
Yeah. Even in that case, it's like, can Death Battle even like bring in plot armor? Because the entire point of Death Battle is to like remove that kind of
Didn't
stuff.
they do that with the
Well,
Doctor?
it depends. I feel because it's like if they put someone like Gwenpool on, that's gonna be a really weird one because it's like she
yeah.
technically that is like a part of her, but I
Mhm.
don't know what the fuck Gwenpool will even get if she comes on. I know people have been saying Superboy Prime, but also no.
No, thank
That's
you.
just like
That's
it
such a bad fight dynamic.
I just don't
it's
like.
like if you did Spider-Man.
The vibe is off.
Apparently, it's
It's like-
supposed to like represent like two sides of like comic characters who like became or like really people who became comic characters. In
No,
a
no,
weird
I get the theme.
metafictional way,
I
but,
just
like,
it doesn't vibe to me. You got this very serious.
like they're.
I mean, I guess they're
interactions-
both serious characters in their
yeah.
own ways, but like Gwenpool definitely
think-
plays into a bit more of a
I
silly
think it's
sort
a
of
good-
aspect.
I think it's a good crossover idea. Like if Marvel and DC got together and wrote it, that like the idea I've always heard is like, yeah, what if like Gwen like helped Superboy Prime regain his other comics? That sounds like a fun crossover, sure. But in the context of a Death Battle, I can't imagine Gwen's like, don't you love comics? As Superboy Prime punches her out of fucking reality.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to
Gwen
do
with his-
Spider-Man versus Flash. It's like, yeah, that'd be fun as a crossover. What I don't as a fight. What is Spider-Man supposed to do?
Well, actually, there's a video on YouTube where it's like an animated thing where Spider-Man fights Flash. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
I was
And
just-
that was
Funny
also
because,
bad.
Like, if Peter,
I
Peter
just-
was like somehow a herald, if there was a timeline where Peter was a herald or Barry was a straight tier, like Barry versus Peter would be like a perfect match. Like
Mm.
they have so much in common, like down to their relationship with their rogues gallery. It'd be such a perfect match, but like the stat gap is just so awful that like you don't need.
I
Well,
swear,
you could do like
I swear
Barry
back in the day
versus
there was-
Cosmic Spider-Man.
you could do that,
Yeah, but who's
but
that's not a
but then no one's really looking.
wanna
Like,
see,
how many
like-
people are looking for Cosmic Spider-Man? I know there are some, but like,
yeah. That's
come
what
on.
I'm saying. Like it's not really a draw, and like
I'm already not big on the idea of like I've seen people say like when they talk about Spider-Man Blue Beetle, like what if we bring in every arm? Like okay, that just sounds sad.
so
Every
lame.
arm, like yes, every armor Spider-Man has versus just the base shit Blue Beetle does, and Blue Beetle would still whoop his ass. That sounds sad.
I
More than-
also-
it's like
They really found a way to beat death manipulation. The
I'd
scarab
want
is
to.
so
I'd want to
cracked.
see Spider-Man come back as Spider-Man. You know, like what I like about him and the way he fights and stuff. You know, not
And
him.
that brings us
Not
to
him
another
basically just
impasse
fighting as
because,
Iron Man.
I think like
That brings us
if
to
they
another
bring
impasse, it would probably be
I don't-
Ladybug.
but that one's also. I actually remember watching like the show like not too long ago, and apart from being the equivalent of a domain expansion, I think like it's so. I remember finishing. I was like, okay, this sounds like if you do that, that limits Ladybug more because she's kind of a magical girl basically for all intents and purposes. She's got like weird transformations, and it's like the format of the show still goes by Monster of the Week kind of stuff. It is. There's a lot. I feel like you could do more for her than like you'd have to boil it down to the basics for Spider-Man. And I feel like that makes sense. I think if Spider-Man comes back, it'll probably be Insomniac versus Arkham, which at the time, as someone who has finished Spider-Man 2, without getting into spoilers, what the fuck is Arkham supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to get into spoilers because at this point, everyone's seen Miles Morales.
I mean, like, have you
Yeah.
seen the first cutscene of like Spider-Man 2?
I haven't
At
actually
least, if
gotten to
anyone.
play it. I've told you before that I'm nearing the end of Final Fantasy 16,
Oh,
right? And once I finish that, I'm gonna
okay,
go
then I'll
to
like
Spider-Man 2 before jumping into
Spider-Man.
Dragon Quest 11, as I intend to. So I
Okay,
will be playing Spider-Man 2 probably by the end of the year,
yeah,
probably next month.
yeah, yeah. I'll just, like, I guess shut up. Like the first cutscene alone, I think will tell you what the fuck is Arkman supposed to do.
Yeah,
What is he
I
supposed to
wouldn't be
do?
You
surprised.
over.
I just want to say,
And
because I distinctly remember this. I don't remember who said it, but there was a time long ago where Carnage versus Green Lantern was brought up by Ben or Chad,
oh, yeah.
and it was basically like
Oh my.
that's a really cool idea. Let's not do that. And I
It's
remember that
funny with
being
like
really funny.
Carnage is now like a dark god or whatever, or some
That's
shit.
stupid though. That's stupid though.
Yeah, it is.
How would Phil probably kick his ass, to be honest? He's got good resistance himself.
Let's do
It's
let's,
kind of a shame, like
let's do
Right,
Dark Carnage
Carnage
versus
is like-
Parallax. Hell, let's do that. Why not?
Ew.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
that sounds
oh.
pretty neat.
since
Just don't-
go ahead.
Yeah, no, just don't like make Venom fight anyone again, because like now he's like as strong as a Beyonder.
Why?
Because he has all of
Why?
Null's
Why not?
powers, and Null is equal to the Beyonders.
Null, like one of his feats is just extending his arm out and killing a Celestial in the process.
His little
like-
first debut appearance is decapitating a Celestial.
Yeah, and like,
You
I
know-
think it was like a first generation Celestial, so like the strongest ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Matt, I can't wait for when Venom 3 gets to that part where, like, there's like, yes, we have now found Null. It's time. And, like, some random bullshit. It's like, wow. That is a statement. I feel like when it comes to the cosmic side of Marvel, we are, like, it's in DC stuff. We're like, hitting, like, we're getting to hit a wall as is. It's like, this is setting aside how we haven't had a street fight in Marvel DC since Batgirl versus Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
If you count like the street people in general, that would be Harley, so the gap is not completely terrible, but still. And it's like, man. Now I will take something. I'm not like big into most street fights. Like, I will not sit here and lie to someone and say, yeah, I will be so excited for Black Cat versus Catwoman in the year of our Lord 2024. But if that, it would be, I guess, a change of pace over, these cosmic scale unga bunga fights. Where, like, we've in between scenes we've gotten like Zatanna, like Scarlet Witch. Then they jumped ahead, and then we even got like Raven and Jean. Not that far apart in the grand scheme of things. Like.
I think the weakest they've put a Marvel DC character recently was Star Level Adam.
I forgot they put him at Star Level. I'll be honest, I forgot what they put it because I like how they make a big deal comparing him to
Adam was
Wonder
at Star
Woman.
Level, and they brought up that pin particles could make characters universal in a black box. And
Is
that's
that-
ignoring
I just like-
overspace.
It's like we've gotten so much. Like, I remember like joking with something. You know what? I remember how silly it sounded when they said the friendly neighborhood light dodging Spider-Man. I don't think Death Metal should have ever been able to get away with that ever. And like how many times Bat Crater used to get brought up, which hasn't won them a single episode, funny enough. But you know what? I would take another Bat Crater over some of the, just spice things up a bit. So when Mysterio Scarecrow happens, I better see them say Scarecrow can tank an explosion worth 56 tons of TNT.
It's just some random guy who could just tank this explosion.
I can't wait to read the blogs for all the street fights because they have to sit there with a straight face and say, yes, fucking Deadshot is 4 kilotons of TNT because he scales to Mr. Freeze or something. And like, it has that energy of that clip.
You're getting
Go
a
ahead.
simple explanation from me.
That being,
It's gonna be stats are similar, and here's all this cool gear shit that they can
I mean,
throw
yeah.
at each other.
I would hope it's not like going like I would stats. I think most people put street tiers like relative these days outside of the Spider-Man like circle, which has been kind of in a weird flux recently. But you know, most people put street stuff relative these days. I would, and yeah, for good reason. I don't want to go into a fucking episode where they have to sit there and tell me with a straight face, yes, Catwoman and Black Cat can both realistically punch an entire town away, like it's just on some fucking Dragon Ball shit.
To be fair,
Like,
Dragon Ball doesn't
no.
often get that high scale either, if we're being honest. Usually it's just some big rocks the size of a couple buildings.
It varies because like sometimes it's always gonna have a moment of escalation. Like I guess in Super, for example, it's like okay, most of the Beerus Goku fight is pretty normal. Then the Universe Clash happens. Then you go
Yeah.
to Frieza's fight, most normal. Then Frieza blows up the Earth.
There's the
Nothing
Broly,
crazy
the
happened
Broly
in
fight.
Universe.
Like the Broly fight, they put big emphasis on an explosion that's like the size of like, I don't know, a couple kilometers wide, and they're like, "Wow, that's so impressive." Then like a couple minutes later, he's shattering dimensions.
Yeah, and then like the Goku Black arc literally ends with like Zamasu becomes so immortal. He flies into the fucking like universe. He becomes the universe and is bleeding into other universes. And then Zeno has to come in and say, "Damn, all right, this script is ass. We gotta end it here. I'm sorry, y'all." And then Trunks has to go back to that universe where there's just another Trunks living there, because reasons.
It's a moment.
That Zamasu episode would be funny because it should end with the gods were actually right the entire time. Zamasu was right technically.
So, I guess where this leaves us, like prediction-wise, is we think Superman should win. We think he's going to win. That's it. That's beginning and end.
Yeah. The interesting
Yeah,
where there is just a path where they take both series from here. Like I guess we already touched on how like DC is sort of in a state where I feel we might need to take a bit of a step back from the Herald status. I think we've been having that a little bit too much across the series.
And Death Battle, when we say no more heralds, please don't immediately respond with, "All right, we'll do Swamp Thing then."
Oh my gosh!
Because I mean, to be fair,
Dude,
he's
you
not
know
a
how
herald.
scared I am of that happening soon. He's like you would think Phoenix versus Raven would be like the most amount of pants shitting with heralds you can or abstract you can do, but Swamp Thing versus Man Thing completely takes that and cranks it up like 10 fucking octaves. It is such a ridiculous fight because they're so.
Yeah.
Just the things they do is just. Oh,
and we can save that
it's
for
all a
when
bunch
that
of
eventually
infinities,
happens one day.
infinities, yeah.
That will
Gosh,
be.
I'm excited for it, but like not right at the moment, please.
Yeah,
It's like I don't want the next episode's John versus Rhino, and it's just going to be like a dick measuring contest between like with John Constantine, famous celestial bodyer.
Yeah. So it is now been 2.5 hours since this recording began. I'm already dreading the process of putting all the scans in. Just as I hope you three are dreading the process of going through and getting all of the scans, because God knows I wouldn't know where to start with a lot of this.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty okay with the last one, so I think it'll take a while, but I can probably.
do keep in mind that we only have what 4 or 5 days.
Hey, you know it's better than people working on that blog.
That's true.
Yeah, right now Goku's side's pretty much done on the blog. It's just Clark stuff needs some work.
Yeah.
So
Must have been.
We gotta work on it, IQ. I was able to work on it last night, but we gotta do our due diligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it must have been fucking terrible.
We can wrap this up. Say your goodbyes. Yeah. that sounded like a threat.
Oh, have a good night.
See you guys again sometime.
Say goodbye.
And one day you'll see me finish up my story of Superman. I don't know when that's gonna be. It might be a few
One day you'll see me finish my Dead Man blog. Hopefully before the year's over.
It's been 3 years in the making. It's like I've been ranting about it for 3 years. I'm still not done.
congratulations to Goku for being the first character to go 0-3.
Technically-
He Shadow and
Technically, he's 1-3 right now.
Please,
if you
if
want to be
Hulk
technical.
comes back, he has
I don't
to
count.
win his
I don't
next
count the
fight.
fusions.
Or you can call him 1-4 if you consider Goku Black.
Goku will be the first to officially get 0-3, and it was not Shadow, not Hulk, probably.
I hope it's not Hulk. I really, really hope Hulk wins his next fight.
Cannot be Hulk, but the fight in the vacuum is so weird because of like Shulk explained to me well too. Like Godzilla just has a can't lose energy.
I
But
really
by
don't
all
want to tell
accounts,
Akil that
he
I
is
think
not
Godzilla wins.
fucking Hulk. You think Godzilla?
I think Godzilla wins.
Whoa.
I just
Interesting. Okay, now I want
stats
that
unless
more.
you go Outerversal Hulk, I think stats should be relative at worst.
I don't know what Godzilla has, so I can't like comment because like the
his
only thing I
his existence
do
is
know-
multi-plus. Like him just being in a certain
Oh.
place can
Sing-
destroy the entire
singular
infinite
point.
multiverse, and that's ignoring
Well,
the
I
higher
don't
dimensions.
think
Okay,
you want to
so-
know what Hulk is up to currently, but
Look,
I need
Akil,
to-
I know at times you want to like be lenient with Marvel scaling, but when Hulk vs. Godzilla comes around, you need to pull the fucking trigger as soon as possible. Come on,
I
my brother.
checked like all the Hulk versus Godzilla chats, and it's like they pull out the most random stuff for Godzilla, and they're like, "No, you can't comp Hulk," and I'm like, "Why?"
Hulk
I
Godzilla
dare
is
you-
gonna be funny.
Hulk
because-
Godzilla will have a massive double standard to it, absolutely, because there will be people compositing all of the Godzillas and then just using, not even just using all 616 Hulk, but like specifically just Savage, World War, and nothing else. No other form of Hulk within
Yeah.
even
'Cause
616.
if you
That
don't
will be a
put it-
problem.
If you don't put a cap, then Godzilla's ultra screwed.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a weird thing. Like the most entertaining part of that period is like the sheer fighting, because it's gonna be either Hulk has to avoid joining the 0-3 club or Godzilla loses, and that's just really weird. No matter how, because he's Godzilla. It's just he doesn't really lose, and not just because like mandates. Like when I mentioned the band, like Godzilla, like any crossover will just beat the shit out of most people. He recently just beat up Superman. It's like.
There is context to that.
Like, if he,
But yes.
There is context.
there
for
is
that.
con-
Like,
and it's like,
Superman wasn't really
even-
doing that bad. Superman went out of his way to save someone.
fair enough. I was like, people like you will see them like if this match happens, there will be characters like Super Robot Wars. It will pull that shit up before like you see that for
there
someone
are going
else.
to be people who are just going to full on like crossover scale Godzilla, despite the fact that they will also then argue you can't crossover scale other characters. Godzilla gets so much leniency, and I say this after having said I think he beats Hulk. That is more so because I'm not fully aware of everything Hulk's got in 616. But
Yeah.
I will laugh
people
when
will go
people
too far
try
with.
to like use scaling for Godzilla because they'll be like, "Oh, well, he equal Thorn strength." When like plenty of people will tell you now that Hulk is considered physically stronger than Thor these days, so like that doesn't really work.
To be fair, he also
Well,
overpowered
I
Hulk,
guess it
I'm pretty
depends on
sure.
where
But
you-
yeah, I wouldn't use Marvel Godzilla
Hulk
for this
and
because
Thor,
that
like,
kind of
yeah.
like is unnecessary. I just want to know if Hulk can stop Godzilla from shooting him in the past. It's like Snow Godzilla is like made of time energy and stuff, which I'm pretty sure Hulk can punch because he's Hulk.
Yeah, he can.
He can punch time.
energy.
I just like the idea of
Pretty much
Godzilla just in the middle of the fight. He just turns around, fires a beam in the past, and Hulk's just standing there wondering what the fuck is going on. And then next
Yeah.
thing you know, you just see Banner just
No, Hulk can like time travel. He can no, Godzilla can time travel. He can blast beams that basically are made of time. He can turn you into another Godzilla. He has a little box that turns you into a little Godzilla.
Oh, Hulk can do that too.
He can
Hulk has his
Just
own
like-
doomsday virus.
if he can like possess you after he dies, because why not? There's literally a manga where Discount Kenshiro kills Godzilla, then he also dies during that. So Godzilla possesses his unborn baby, and then lives as that baby for a part of its childhood, and then beats up and kills the mother. And the last shot is supposed to be this heartwarming shot of the whole family dead in the afterlife. And it's like, no, that's not even remotely heartwarming. That implies that the child died in the womb. The mother was just beaten to death by her child without realizing what's going on, and the father died for nothing.
What the?
That is not heartwarming
I just like
at all.
the Godzilla the Godzilla in a boxing. I just like it's like that. You know that moment Dante Bear, like Dante whips out like the fucking suitcase. And like I just like the idea of Godzilla the milk like just takes out a random box and just fucking places it on the ground.
To be fair,
So it's
I
Godzilla.
don't know what Hulk's gonna do when Godzilla turns into a giant egg. What's
You
what's
know,
Hulk- what's
what
Hulk
if he
gonna do
just
to that?
eats it?
Well, he can't because it's egg.
What if he just eats?
It's egg. Egg wins.
I mean,
It's egg.
If I saw a giant egg, I would start eating it too.
I think Hulk would just be confused if Godzilla transformed into an egg. What he can do.
you know, there's just a cursed idea that Frieza's gonna win his match in the same season where Goku dies. It's like
I think Frieza would be okay with that.
it's just
Yeah.
so fucked.
Have
It's
any
like
of you have any
all
of
the
you
Saiyans-
seen when someone posted like a ridiculous like over the top comment like versus related and I like recorded myself reading it out as Frieza?
Oh my gosh. I
Have
think
you
Frieza.
any of you
just-
seen that?
I might have to check that one out.
I'll just post it.
Actually,
I won't put it in the video because I don't want to put a target on like the person who actually like on the back of the person who actually like wrote
Right.
out the comment because it could have been satire as well despite what they said. I just don't want everyone to go bullying them, but I will show you lads because it was really fun to do, and some other people did it too. People like joined in on it because it was funny.
Broly is so lucky he won because if he lost, then like the entire every Saiyan would have basically died once of the show, but Frieza lived, and at least until they eventually burned Bardock for some fucked up reason. In which case, that would be so weird.
Bardock
Because
versus
it's-
Nolan would be so unfun as like a waiting period.
Who wins
I
that?
think I think
That's
Bardock.
the problem. I
think
feel.
it,
Oh, nobody knows.
I think it's
Okay.
gonna be Minato from like Naruto if they ever do Bardock, which is also fucking dumb. It's like Minato's actually cool.
That's where the facts, pretty much.
Well, it's quote unquote hacks, but Bardock basically just, from my understanding, Naruto seals don't fully work on people who are noticeably stronger. That I will probably be corrected on that, but it's
To be
like
fair,
what's stopping Bardock from just
I do think Bardock Minato is better than most Dragon Ball Naruto matchups, at least.
I
Which
mean,
is saying literally nothing. Nonsense
It's
remains
like
nonsense
Bardock
no
is-
matter what you put in front of it, but
like it's stats versus hacks, but like the hacks is kind of fucking worthless here because like it's not like Minato has like this game changing ability. He's not like some accelerator or Gojo. It's like no, if Bardock is in any way takes stats, which he does because he's a Super Saiyan, he just has to breathe, and Minato just if his entire flesh, bones, and soul will evaporate,
to be fair,
and Obito will probably come in.
if Minato had Limitless, it still wouldn't matter because Bardock would just nuke the world and then fly off to another world really quickly. But Bardock would die second. If he nuked the world and they both suffocated, Bardock would die second. So he would win, technically.
I just like that wave concept. Just the idea, like, okay, how does the Saiyan get past without just breaking space? What if they just blow up the planet?
Wait, so like if I don't know, because we talked about it yesterday's show, we said Conquest beats Nappa. So what makes Bardock beat Nolan? That like what makes it different?
Because Bardock has
should be
Super
stronger.
Saiyan.
Bardock
which
should
would
be
make-
stronger than Nappa.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
that's right.
I think Bardock's a Super Saiyan. He's got merchandise is a bitch. But
In that case, because I was reading up on like Nappa yesterday when like talking about it, like it says that like because he has a tail, it's implied he could access a great ape form. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Or do you think
I
like
mean,
that could change
he
anything?
he can. He's done it in some of the games, but it's like Nappa, the Great Ape form. I don't know if it has any other multiplier, but I don't think it would change too much because like
It's only 10
Viltrumites have
times.
taken on larger foes.
It's only a 10 times.
Yeah, it's only
multiplier.
10 times, and Viltrumites have taken on larger forms. And if there is, assuming it's a moon, for all intents and purposes, Conquest can just ram into the fucking moon and get rid of it.
Yeah. He could ram the moon into Nappa.
Like,
That would go
he's only
really
done
hard.
it in like that would be very hard.
I want Conquest versus Nappa as opposed to Nolan versus Bardock. That one just like that's just like Boris Battle Beast level of like stupid fun, goes insanely hard. Just,
God.
Yes.
I said we should say goodbye like 20 minutes ago.
This happens every time, Nemesis. You gotta love
No,
it.
yeah.
Dude, there's no scans. There aren't supposed to be scans here. So like, so
That's
it's
true.
different.
Yeah, we can say our goodbyes.
Yeah, thanks for being here, fellas.
Goodbye again.
Thanks for watching and so long.
I was talking to you lads, not the audience, but thank you for watching too, audience.
Hey, audience, I'll take this time to say you should watch Pretty Cure. No. The super shill. But yes, this has been fun. Very fun.
Peace.
Alright, see you everyone.